Hello, folks. Welcome to Nateland. Not only is Vivint the best home security, they are giving Nateland listeners the best offer you will find. Go to vivint.com/Nate and use promo code Nate for up to 6 months of free monitoring. That's up to 6 months of free monitoring when you go to vivint.com/Nate and use promo code Nate. You can even call them at 1-855-Vivint0 and use our promo code Nate. Also with Scribd, you can get instant access to millions of ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, and more. Automated suggestions and hand-curated picks make choosing your next book easier than ever. And we have got a deal. Go to try.scribd.com/Nate for your 60-day free trial. That is try.scribd.com/Nate to get 60 days of Scribd for free. Two more. Shout out to our sponsor from the makers of Helix. The most comfortable mattress ever. Comes all form, easily customizable sofas, armchairs, love seats, and more. All form delivers directly to your home with fast, free shipping. You can assemble all the furniture yourself in minutes, no tools needed. Right now, All Form is offering 20% off all orders for our listeners at allform.com/Nate. That is 20% off all orders at allform.com/Nate. And finally, today is officially the first day of fall. Today is it. Fall is here, and it is time to get cozy around the fire with Solo Stove. Shop their fall event now at solostove.com. Get an extra $10 off when you use promo code Nate at checkout. They even offer a lifetime warranty. They offer a lifetime warranty and a 30-day free return policy. Solostove.com. Use promo code Nate. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Nateland podcast. We're excited to have you guys here. Have a little bit the first kind of different podcast. So sadly, Brian Bates is not here. He had a kind of family emergency. I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point, but so he could not make it. Prayers to Bates and his family and his wife's family and all of them. So we had in. So you got Aaron.
Here I am at the end of the table in Brian's chair.
Brian's chair.
You ever see a room you've been in a bunch from a different spot?
Yeah.
It looks like a new room.
Yeah.
It feels very different
That's why people move furniture around a lot.
Is that why? Just to shuffle things up?
Yeah. Laura does not, but I grew up, and I think that's why I like things changing, because we grew up just rearranging every day. I mean, we'd come home and there'd be, the kitchen is now my parents' bed, or the dining room is my parents' bedroom, and now we're eating in their old bedroom. Like, it'd be that much of switching.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you just have a small house, we grew up in a very small house. It's like that was the only way to be like, oh, look at it now.
It's like a new house.
Like a new house.
Right.
And so we did it. They did it a bunch. So yeah, it's like, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun.
Yeah, I like it over here.
Yeah, it's nice over there, right? You realize the vantage point Bates gets.
I know.
And you're like,
it's kind of wasted on him, huh?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting something out of it.
You're getting it. And we have two guests with us. These are very special guests. One, Mick, everybody. Mick's back.
Hello.
There you go, folks.
Hello, folks.
There you go.
I like to just kind of delay. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, folks.
Wear the sweatshirt with mustaches on it.
Yeah.
What's the point of that? Is that something?
Just a little fun,
So you went into a store and you go, y'all got any mustaches on a sweater? And they go, well, yeah. And you're like, just one. They go, well, we got 4. And you go, all right, I'll do 4. Is that mustaches? Is it just mustaches?
It's just mustaches.
I don't hate it. But I kind of like it, but it's kind of.
The whole podcast is just Nate staring at the mustaches.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you've wore it on stage. I mean, this is your nice shirt.
No, well, actually, the funny thing is, because we were out over the weekend, and the first time we see Nate, that I show up and I'm wearing this in the morning. And he's like, why are you dressed up like you're ready to go to the show?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm not wearing this the rest of the day. I'm wearing it for breakfast.
Yes.
So it was like I dressed up for you.
Yeah. And you're wearing it today for breakfast, and then breakfast wasn't here.
Breakfast.
Yeah. So our other guest is our great friend Dustin Chafin. We were roommates.
Yeah, we were.
We've all talked. Which today we will talk a lot about, like kind of comedy at the beginning. This is the start. All of us was the start. We've been very close friends for 16 years, 17 years.
Wow.
We all lived together. And so we were all on the road this weekend together, and it was very fun. And we're talking about all that stuff. So it's fun to have us here.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
and the bus was bigger than our apartment.
Yes, yeah. That's Oh man, we're talking about that apartment. Like it was, it was something. So first up, we want to talk. Read your comments from you guys. Comments are from Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcast reviews, and you can also email Nateland at natebargatze.com. First up, Brent Cook. Nothing strikes me funnier than Bates being deep in the Wikipedia weeds. Nate murmuring his disapproval of where things are going, and Aaron doubled over in silent laughter. Gets me every time. Keep it rolling, folks. That's true. I mean, you got, I thought the last podcast was good, but there was parts where it's like, all right. What do we do?
I'm always reminded of your line, Nate, where Brian was reading something and he was like, "You don't find that interesting?" And Nate goes, "I mean, it is, but people are listening to this."
Yeah.
So it's just something to keep in mind.
There's a difference of, like you got to remember that you're like, people are listening. Like this is a little more high pressure of a conversation than, there's conversations where you're like, yeah, we should be doing this alone. Mm-hmm. I've said that on stage sometimes. Sometimes you try a joke and it doesn't work, and then you're like, I'm sorry, I should have just this should be something I should tell y'all like privately. Like it's like a funny enough joke if we were just one-on-one.
Right.
But not for a room of people,
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Kunselman. I don't know. Andy. I would never want to marry you, Andy. I would be like, so what is it? This has to be the only podcast to mention 9/11, Katrina, and the Slanket all in one episode. I think that's true.
America's 3 greatest tragedies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the Slanket right there.
Slanket. I talked to him this weekend. The guy that started this Slanket. He had some friends that were going to come to the show, so it was very funny to get it. I was like, oh man, it all came together.
Yeah.
I was like, we just talked about you.
I take it he likes cards.
He likes cards. So that's the card one.
Okay.
That's one we buy my dad. My dad would love that one. The card one. I mean, that would be.
Yeah,
it'd be his favorite. Slanket's the original.
Slanket.
People don't understand. Slanket's the original.
Before the Snuggie?
Slanket was the one that started it all. And Snuggie came in, it was just big money, and just said, "Oh, I like what you did, and you can't
Didn't you
copyright
have
it
one at one time?"
Yeah. We did a commercial for him. Me and Giannis. Giannis was friends with him, and so I mean, this dude invented this, and then Snuggie just. Like what happens is people invent something, and then someone with a lot of money goes, "Well, I'll just use money to advertise it." So then he just swallows, he doesn't buy them out.
Yeah,
he just copies them, calls it something else, and then has the money to pay for all the commercials. Oh, wow. And then so everybody just knows about Snuggie when Slanket was the original.
Slanket's like on MySpace.
It's like it was first,
More like a Friendster, actually. Probably before.
It was Friendster.
Going way back now.
Yeah.
Way back. All right, let's go back further. Kellogg. How about Kellogg the cereal? It lost to the other cereal. Do you see that post in cereal? What
Post
food
in
made us?
cereal?
Yes.
What?
Kellogg and Post.
Oh,
it's a whole crazy thing. Post cereal. It's like what food made us. It goes on this whole crazy
What
thing.
food made us?
I think that's the name of it. I don't know. It may not. Yeah. But it's a whole crazy thing.
Like Kellogg was first?
Kellogg was first.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were living in, this guy from Post was working there as an intern. And they were like, ooh, this crunchy thing. And he's just an intern working there, steals it, and then creates this Post. This is 1800s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Post
Is this
cereal.
the food that built America?
Food that built America. I said the food that made us.
Yeah, that made us. It was one of the titles they tried to go with, and they go, I don't think it makes sense. And the us was spelled U.S.
Aaron looks like he could have been in that recreation, though. You have like a 1800s.
Yeah.
Well, all I need is one of those mustaches from your shirt, and then I would be ready
I think they
for
come
it.
off if you want.
I thought you meant he was a guy that looks like he likes cereal.
Yeah.
But,
I do love cereal, man.
Yeah, but no, that's right. He could be in the 1800s.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Kellogg. Wow. You made that good because you took a turn at the beginning. I was like, what are we doing? We talked about Friendster.
I know. I thought you were trying to name another social media
Yeah,
platform.
that's
Well,
what I thought.
yeah.
I was like, well, it's like Kellogg's.
Well,
And
the
you're
old,
yeah.
the old Post platform.
What was the word post that threw us?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole thing, down to the sweater is what I got confused on.
Nate can't stop staring at the mustache. He's just,
Now, I mean, you wear it on stage. I like it. It's because it's an easy thing to pack.
Mhm.
Because when Nick goes anywhere, he packs this one backpack that's a
Yeah.
roller. And if it's a 1-day trip to a 4-month trip, it's just that backpack.
Nice.
And you're the most compact packer I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen you outside of that. And there's times you come to New York when back before you moved to LA, you'd be there for a few weeks.
Oh yeah.
And you would just have that.
yeah.
Is it a free for all putting stuff in the suitcase, or is there science behind it? You roll stuff up. How do you do it?
Luckily my wife helps.
Yeah.
But before that, Nate would see it. It
rolled
looked
up.
like
It was not rolled up. It was just
Yeah.
jammed in.
But he
Yeah.
always had luggage to the comedy club,
Oh,
even
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
city. He
Yeah.
wasn't traveling anywhere.
Yeah.
He would just roll up
You're
with
like,
luggage.
you're just here for a few hours. He goes, well, you never know. You never know.
I was a traveling salesman, basically.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
It was a couch.
He just-
salesman.
yeah.
It's
Selling
always
cereal.
Somebody's couch.
Joe Cicero, favorite episode to date. I couldn't catch my breath because I was laughing so hard when Nate was unable to properly pronounce disabled.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
a
pretty
tough
fun
one.
I think some people got a little upset that we said,
Yeah.
but we were not making fun of disabled.
Yeah,
people.
the point was we had no idea what we were talking about.
That's
Kind of always
was-
the point.
That's always the point. I mispronounced disabled. So
So now's when I can plug my Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge.
there we go.
at
Boom. Easter Phil's Disability Film Challenge.
Go to disabilityfilmchallenge.com. Nate will spell disability wrong. So
DICA ability. Yeah, it's a great thing you do.
Thank
Everybody makes these videos and they make films and they win. These films are unbelievable.
yeah, unbelievable. Honestly, though, there are hundreds of films you can see if you go to disabilityfilmchallenge.com. And
Check it
it's,
out.
Great films and
Yeah.
include people with disabilities.
Yeah, there you go. We upped it up. Brian Lee, I paused the podcast to look up the Atlantic article on Nate, the nicest man in stand-up, only to then unpause and hear him immediately start making fun of an old one-eyed softball player. Great episode, guys. Well, that guy's not in stand-up. I'm the nicest to the other stand-ups is what that article
Only
is.
to
Only to
stand-ups.
stand-ups. Softball players I'm brutal against because they would never let me play with them. I told that where I got the yips in softball.
No.
That's where we need Brian. Well, I might have.
When you struck out at the Royals game, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when I played church softball, it's crazy. These guys were like the best softball team ever, and one guy's one eye. But they dominated, dude. They dominated. They would beat. I think just them four, right, would play, and they would beat.
They would play
everybody.
teams of 9 with
And
just
they would
4
win.
people and obliterate people.
Yeah, but one of them was Don Mattingly, it looks like.
Yeah,
No, that's the
Yeah.
guy, the king right there. The old guy.
The
He's
old
the
guy's the
best
king.
softball pitcher of all time.
He's the pitcher. Wow.
Yeah.
yeah. And he was so good. And the other guys, you could see just jack stuff out.
Is
And
it all?
we think that guy covered the one-eyed guy. We said covered first, and he never saw anybody.
Well, you were telling me yesterday you got a no hitter when you were in.
Well, I didn't know hitter in baseball.
Oh, okay.
A Little League baseball game
Yeah.
ball's up there. at
The
The
ball
top.
somewhere over there.
Got Harper's
Nice.
game ball, the yellow one in the middle. Very proud of that.
Great.
So I told her I was like, you gotta let me put it up there. And then yes, but at softball, I went through a phase playing church softball. I played church softball some in Chicago when I first moved there, and then I played in church. When you're playing with grown-ups, and it's like guys that are like major league players. But I got the yips for a minute where I couldn't throw to first base,
Mhm.
and I would just sell it over. I'd either play short or second, and I'd get a ground ball, and then I couldn't keep it. I couldn't hit the guy, and I would just launch it, and it would hit. The open. There's no top on the softball field. It just
Yeah.
hints and falls in, and it doesn't get more embarrassing than that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like me trying to chip in golf. It just
Yeah.
just
go.
it just
Just
goes
goes.
every time.
Red Goss or Goss, probably Goss, Goss. I bet he got it.
It's probably Reed, though.
probably Reed.
REID.
Reed Gross. Nate's description of Avatar is why this podcast is amazing. It's like Blue Man Group in space. Everyone nods along like what he said wasn't absolutely nuts. Keep up the good work, Aaron, Nate, and Bean Sprout. They always call Brian different names.
Gotcha.
So that's where all that comes from. Yeah, I still stand by that. It's like Blue Man Group in space.
It's not bad. Blue Man Group did pretty well.
Yeah, Blue Man Group, very successful. Avatar, very successful.
Yeah.
Max Simon. I mean, these names. Brian Lee was the first one. I like and Brent Cook. Started off Brent Cook, and I was like, "This is gonna be an easy day." And then got beat up by the next two. Then Brian Lee was like, "All right, we're back. Got my head above water." And then now we're still just, and by the looks of it, we ain't getting out of it. I'm drowning.
No, dude.
Max Simon, Sigmon. The thought of Brian on the phone with Al Gore and asking him how far he can throw a football killed me. Thanks, Aaron. That was a very funny line.
Yeah.
I think it was a line that got, it didn't get the respect it should have got here, but they noticed it.
Oh, that's
You
good.
know
I
what I
feel like
mean?
I got some respect here. Got a laugh from
I
both of
was
y'all.
surprised.
You're not ready for me to say a joke,
Yeah.
so it always catches you off guard.
Yeah,
with Brian and I.
I think it's a dead serious comment. But it's a very funny line to just picture Bates on the phone with Al. I called Al Gore and just, how far can you throw a football? And he's like, would be a great line.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just calling someone and just like right when they go, hello, how far can you throw a football? You think they answer?
I think most people would give it. Most men would give an answer.
Yeah, they go, excuse me? How far, you heard me. How far can you throw a football?
Probably 40 yards.
I mean, yeah, I would think. I'd hope 40 yards.
20 for me.
And then you go, all right, do you want to buy insurance? And he goes, all right, yeah, I'll buy it. What a great, that's how everybody should. You call someone and just go, how far can you throw a football?
I used to do cold calls for my job. I would have liked to have had some kind of
A line like
something like that to
That's
at
a
least
great
keep
opening
me
line.
It's a
interested.
great opening line.
Hello,
how far do you
how
think
you
you throw a
doing?
football?
My name is Aaron. How far can you throw a football?
Yeah.
That's it.
And just to see if one guy ever goes 65 yards. And you go, Steve Young?
Jay
Do you want to buy insurance? Jay would just hang up on you. Annie Doggett. Dog, then get. Doggett. Annie Dead Gummit. That's what Annie's name. That's her. Annie Dead Gummit. I'm an avid Airland listener. Oh, well, Dead Gummit, Annie. I'm an avid Airland listener who couldn't get behind the whole aughts is actually something people say argument. But then I heard it for the first time in class today. He is becoming too powerful. Wow. Well, I like that Annie disagreed with Airland, and then now she's surrounded by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Let me ask you guys. Can I float it to y'all?
Yeah.
What do you call the decade after the 1990s?
After the 90s?
Yeah.
2000s? Y21. Y21. Y2K.
I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
You don't even think about those years are just gone.
They're
huh?
just gone. I did a
2000s.
lot of drinking.
Yeah. 2000s.
It just, you don't think about it. It seems like 90s, 80s. You never
You
hear
would
that.
say I would say
2000s.
2000s.
The 2000s. I would know what you meant when you
I've
said
never
2000s.
said that.
You would know what we meant because the world uses that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's what you say when someone says, I call it the aughts. Oh, have you ever heard of the aughts?
No.
Mm-mm.
No. And you have the audacity.
The audacity.
The audacity
Good work.
to go. I needed Aaron's help on it, but it was to think. We say 2000s. You're like, all right, I get. Yeah, I'm roundabout know what you're talking about. But the aughts we're supposed to be like, yeah. That's exactly what it is. But it's being used. What if Annie? Maybe it'd be great if her teacher was an Aaron Land fan too.
Yeah.
Could be. Daniel Fitzsimmons. All right, I know that because of Greg Fitzsimmons.
Yeah.
Daniel Fitzsimmons. Dear Nate, Aaron, and Bacteria. Never heard Bacteria. That's a
That's
good one.
good.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
I love the show so much. However, as an RN, registered nurse,
Yeah.
I was aghast. What? Aghast?
Aghast.
At Nate's suggestions that it's okay to just use hand sanitizer instead of washing your hand. The water, soap, and friction removes bacteria from your hand and is vital in maintaining sanitation. Hand sanitizer simply kills some but not all of the bacteria, and without the help of water and friction, leaves your hands covered in someone else's excrement when you leave a public restroom.
Wow. Yeah. Well, this was Nate's solution to save water, was to get rid of sinks.
Yeah.
And just have hand sanitizer.
I'll tell you someone we're not going to allow to come on the tour with us on the bus. Daniel Fitzsimmons.
Yeah.
You're going to be eyeballing us the whole time. I got to walk in and hide my hand sanitizer use. It says 99.9.
Yeah, that number's there for a reason.
I'm there for that 0.1%. I'll fight that 0.1%. That's how much Nick, you put cortisone in your mouth this week. So, Daniel, what's your comments on if someone, as an adult, thinks cortisone's toothpaste and then squirts it into his mouth and swigs it around?
Did you do that on the bus?
This was awful.
Not on the bus.
No.
At his parents' house.
So we're stayed in Mohegan Sun. I wake up early. My parents live in New Haven. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I go there and I'm like, I need to rinse my mouth out. So I see this tube, what looks like toothpaste, and I just see the C, and I thought it was Colgate, and so I go like that.
It is red.
Put
and
it
white.
in. It was a red and white label.
So that's how he sometimes brushes his teeth. He doesn't have a toothbrush, so he basically eats toothpaste, and then he puts it in his mouth, and then we've already had an incident with this before.
Yeah.
So
I start to swish like this. You
have water in your mouth?
Not yet.
Oh, wow.
So you do it no water, anything?
Well, first step is put the toothpaste in. Second step, go under the sink.
Yeah.
Get a little water.
I like that you go under it. Like you gotta swim to the sink.
Well, it's like it's steps.
You jump in it. You just hold your nose and jump in the sink and then swim over there.
Well, usually I can't reach the sink, so I got it's steps. So I'm like, I got to do like a pull up in, and then move. I do kind of swim a little bit towards the sink. So now on the way, I turn the tube and realize that it's cortisone in my mouth.
Oh, man.
So I just spit it out like immediately. And now, like ever since then, my front teeth have been hurting. I don't know if this is like connected.
Yeah, still today.
I
mean, it's been like 5 days or something.
It's 2 days of like serious pain in my first teeth.
They're gonna fall out.
Not before.
Not before.
But just right after cortisone.
Right after the cortisone, I'm like, mind you, I'm feeling like I'm better. I think cortisone is gonna, make you, if you have pain.
Yeah.
No pain, except the teeth.
Well, yeah, it could be against the teeth.
So you saw it was C for Colgate. So you probably got a pretty good look at the other letters on there too, right?
Well, he saw the C and then the O.
C and the O.
I got it in a weird angle. I got it like sideways, and I could just see the C.
Was it like wrapped up, like
I did have to unwrap it a little bit.
Okay.
So they had it wrapped up to the C, maybe a little O.
There you go.
And he thought, well, obviously, obviously everybody keeps their toothpaste under the sink, and they don't have it out. Was the toothpaste very obvious when you found it?
I mean, it still looked identical. It was also Colgate. So, in fairness,
yes.
In fairness,
and then it was on the sink.
Well, it was a drawer, so I go in the drawer,
and then they have cortisone.
I'm tired.
So you'd like to blame your parents for being, why are y'all keeping those that close together?
Yeah.
Was it next to the Band-Aids?
That's true.
Band-Aids.
You could have had a word with your mom and dad and said, hey, let me talk to you guys for a second. Why do y'all keep these two things? Knowing that you have me as a son, why would you ever think that you would be allowed to keep those things too? They know you're the best.
Yeah.
And I think I'm the third best.
Third best.
I'm gonna go walk to your parents' house and go, hey guys, I know Nick's lived in LA for a while, but we got to clean some stuff up around here, all right? We got to keep these things farther away.
I mean, I was almost so excited that it happened, just knowing I'd be able to tell you what happened.
Well, I love that. It's his parents came to the show, and we've met them before, but I haven't seen them in a while, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
To go, his dad's going to come out on tour with us.
Yeah,
he was awesome.
So excited.
You know what his job is?
What's that?
Podiatrist.
Oh, podiatrist.
Podiatrist.
Yeah,
he's a podiatrist.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And they're old New Haven. They all 5 generations from New Haven, Connecticut.
Best pizza in the world.
Best pizza in the world. Old money from New Haven.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they can afford shirts.
Y'all went to Yale? Any Yale people in your family?
No.
His dad's a big fan though.
Big
His dad's like me with Vanderbilt, except his dad probably could have got into Yale. They're big Notre Dame fans.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
I've got the Cortisone and the Colgate logos pulled up, so you can see
Okay.
here's Cortisone and here's Colgate.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
you can
that's-
see.
It's pretty close.
So
That's
here's
pretty
a
close.
tube of Cortisone, and I could see how you'd think that was a travel size
Yeah.
Colgate.
Yeah.
Especially if it's rolled up.
It
Yeah.
was actually the bigger kind, though. It was
Oh,
like
okay.
the big tube that looked like it was
Yeah.
the legit.
But you can see, yeah, they're red.
Something
yeah.
a podiatrist would have.
Yeah.
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 It's not a crazy leap.
Yeah.
Fast itch relief. What does it say?
I mean, I
Just
think
please don't. They.
There's
they
got to
go,
be
"I
a warning
can't-
label.
I can't believe we would even say this, but don't put it in your mouth.
For external use only.
External.
Right there in the directions.
And you went internal.
Yeah, I went.
You went
You
in.
know what? I'm gonna lose a couple teeth on this tour.
So the tube, when it felt itself being squeezed, it thought, "Where are we? It's pretty dark in here. I've never, because he's not used to that."
Yeah, the tube.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The toothpaste probably isn't used to be just jammed in its mouth either. These are two things that see the light of day every day, and then they just go in like a spaceship and just being like, "God, it's getting dark back here. What's going on?" That's kind of crazy. Before we get to the next one, let me read just a couple of these ads. We are ready to get into fall because we like the cooler nights and enjoy a nice fire with our friends and family, making s'mores over our solo stove and watching football. The solo stove has been so much better than any fire pit I've been around. The smelling, when you smell like a campfire, I like the smell of it, but you don't like it. You're on your clothes.
Like it the next day.
I don't even like it that night. I honestly, when we would go make fires, I would want to go take a shower that night. It bothers me that much. Not with solo stove. I mean, there's no setup. Just unbox and enjoy a little fire starter wood, and you can have a nice fire quickly. We have the bonfire version with a stand. It is small enough to take to the front or the back, or if we go to the lake, we can easily take it there. It burns down to white ash, so cleanup is super easy. Solo stove would be great for you guys in LA. It's
Yeah.
a very easy thing to just put outside.
Put it by the pool.
compact,
Yeah.
Put it by the pool. It's like a fire goes up, smoke's not going there. I mean, it's truly like my dream because I do like sitting around a fire, but I just don't want to smell like it. Solo stove creates great times without the fireside fumes, like we've said. It's premium grade stainless steel construction designed to regulate airflow and burn more efficiently. It's like portable. They are so confident you will love it. They offer a lifetime warranty and a 30-day free return policy. Get the perfect fire pit for those fall nights and make your backyard a destination with a spectacular fire pit from Solo Stove. Shop the fall event now and get an extra $10 off when you use promo code NATE at checkout. They are so confident. Like I said, lifetime warranty and a 30-day free return policy. Just go to solostove.com and remember, you'll get $10 off when you use promo code NATE. Also, if you've been listening to this show for a while, you have probably heard me talk about our Helix mattress as we love it. Dustin slept on it last night.
Oh, amazing.
Amazing mattress.
So good.
Nick slept on it. Everybody slept on it. We love it.
Love it.
Helix, not my neighbor Felix, but Helix has left the bedroom and started making sofas and more. They just launched a new company called Allform, and they're already making the best sofas we have ever seen. Allform is the easiest way you can customize a sofa using premium materials at a fraction of the cost. Laura, we got one. Laura put ours together. It was super easy. I mean, they're delivered directly to your home, fast, free shipping. Sofas can take weeks or months to arrive, and you need someone to put it together. It's a whole thing. Allform takes just 3 to 7 days to arrive, and you can assemble it yourself. No tools needed, which is just big. Not having, I mean, that's just, when you get something that's got all these tools, it's just a nightmare. Laura did ours. It's in the office. We chose the armchair with the sand fabric with the natural wood legs. I go in there and sit when she's yelling at me. That's the seat I sit in, and she sits at her desk and talks down to me. And so, but I love it. It's just nice to have a nice chair in there. And it is great. If getting a sofa without trying it in the store sounds a little risky, well, you don't have to worry about it because you get 100 days to decide if you want to keep it. That's more than 3 months. If you don't love it, they will pick it up for free and give you a full refund. They even offer a forever warranty, literally forever. I really think that is, it's just awesome. So you can go to Allform, and Allform is offering, they're offering 20% off all orders for our listeners at allform.com/Nate. That is allform.com/Nate, ALLFORM.com/Nate for your new favorite sofa. That's 20% off all orders at allform.com/Nate. All right, come back to a couple more of those. Here we are, Jay Alberton, probably.
Alberton, probably. Yeah.
I
think he's Canadian.
Jay Albritton. My dad played briefly for the Toronto Argonauts. Yeah?
Yeah.
Argonauts.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Argonauts are. I've heard of it.
I believe they are middle-aged knights.
They're
farmer astronauts.
They're
farmer astronauts. I hope they're farmer astronauts.
What did you say it was, Nick?
Middle-aged knights.
They are octopus.
Okay.
It's an octopus.
Wow.
I mean, but you believe me though. You kind of Nate's eyes lit up, and he was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
I don't know what it is. I believed actually both of them. But Dustin came up with a great joke. I believe you thought you were right too. Yeah.
We're all
mid-aged.
It can also mean,
what are they, knights in their 40s? Kind of on the back end.
It can also mean any adventurer engaged in a quest or a band of heroes, Argonauts.
Oh, Argonauts a good name.
Yeah, it's fun.
So Jay's dad played briefly for the Toronto Argonauts in the CFL when he was just out of college and was invited to try out for the Baltimore Colts in the mid-50s. But I think the sports accomplishment he was most proud of was getting a foul tip against the king and his court in the mid-60s. Wow.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, that's crazy. So his dad's like a legit athlete that played in the CFL and then tried out for the Baltimore Colts.
Johnny Unitas?
Maybe didn't make it just because they left in the middle of the night. Was that the team that left?
Yeah, to Indianapolis.
His dad showed up. He goes, "Where is everybody?" That's his first tryout. He's just out there on the field alone, stretching. He's like, "Just a little late. Everybody late today. This is a tight run ship here." And they're on a bus and stuff, just driving away. But that's crazy. He got a foul tip against the king. I mean, just a foul tip.
Yeah, it's probably what caused this guy to have an eye patch.
Yeah,
it was a hard foul right at his eye.
Yeah, he was not used to seeing that. God, that's how fast that's how good of a pitcher that guy was. Wow.
They also look like they'd be great to hang out with, like very friendly.
I bet they're fun. Yeah. I don't think they got a lot of sleep.
They kind of got a Harlem Globetrotters uniform.
Yeah. That's kind of
what they did.
That's kind of what they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They would come in and they'd be like, pick your best 9 players, and then they would kill them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was kind of, I mean, they did a little more than Harlem Globetrotters. I think they would let people pick their teams, right? Mm-hmm. So they would if this guy's dad played against them, it would be like, so they go, all right, so this guy's dad played in the CFL, and then, so obviously you're like, yeah, will you come play softball? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'll crush these.
Yeah, it was just 4 dudes. I'll
crush
them.
How would we not win? And then they beat them. I mean, I would go. They should get that going again.
So was it mostly in the pitching that they would win, or how?
Probably. I mean, he was the best pitcher. But then you look at the other 2 big guys. I mean, I think they would. It would just be home run after home run.
Yeah, that Gronk looking guy. Yeah. He could hit.
And then he's striking everybody out. So they probably have a guy at first, then some guys playing. I bet you got a guy at first base. You got a guy playing kind of little mid deep. Short and third, and then mid, maybe right over second base, and then the pitcher's just striking everybody out. Yeah. If you can't hit anybody, I mean, maybe a couple people get a hit, but we actually probably need to look into that.
I hope there's video. I hope there's video.
I hope there's video too. Michael Spirit Walker Mosley. Ooh, Spirit Walker.
Native, maybe.
Maybe.
I know him. He's a comedian from Alabama.
Oh,
Spirit Walker.
Native American guy?
I've done a couple shows with him, yeah.
He goes by Spirit. He is Native
Spirit
American?
Walker, yeah. He's
so that's his real...
Spirit Walker is what he goes by, yeah.
Because if you're not, that's just,
Well, I mean, it's got to be tough for him as a comedian. If he goes, I go by Spirit Walker, you're not like you're probably like, well, yeah, whatever, man. A lot of comics go by weird names.
Yeah,
So you're probably, you don't think he's
Meanwhile,
native.
Earthquake's there next weekend.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, that's fine.
So it means-
I'll have you feature for Earthquake. And you're like, I would love it. Please welcome to stage Spirit Walker. And Spirit Walker brings up Earthquake. And they close the show out, Ozone.
Talent's doing a guest spot.
Talent, yeah, there's a talent. I mean, that is pretty crazy.
That's in Philly where I started, and Mike Vecchione is gonna be there next weekend.
Yeah.
There was a lot of guys. There's a guy that went by Sun 572.
Sun
572.
Yeah.
And he had the greatest, it was the greatest at the end of it. No matter what, it didn't matter if he killed or bombed. He would go, Sun 572, and the sun always shines. And he would drop the mic.
Yeah.
After bombing, sometimes.
If he killed, it was
mean,
a standing
this is
O
like
or
open
bombing.
mics.
Yeah,
Open mics,
Yeah.
and it would
Wow.
be like, it would be a guest spot. Either way, kill, bomb. He was a great comic. He would do good always.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But regardless, he would, Sun 572, and the sun always shines. And then the hands would come down.
Yeah.
The
And
mic.
drops.
Wow.
And you got to be like, imagine that's a guest spot. So, yeah, like if people, if people don't know, so a guest spot is like, so typically like we were out this weekend. So it was me, Nick, and Dustin, right? We are the show. And then say Aaron ends up being in town and he's like, oh, I'm going to come hang out at the show. And we're like, all right, dude, we'll throw you a guest spot. So you let him go up and he does 7, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And you're just like a buddy that comes in. You're like, yeah, we'll throw you up on the show. That's a guest spot. They're not getting paid. But I mean, all you're doing is guest spots at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it was very fun. And so but a guy that Sun 572, I've heard you or Jay and all them talk about it. For that guy to come and do that as a guest spot, it would be probably looked down on because you're like, all right, dude, like you're just here.
It's not
You're
your
not
show.
on the show. You
don't drop the mic when you're doing 4 minutes.
Yeah, you do 4 minutes, drop the mic, and now the host that is on the show's got to go pick the mic up and be like,
It's broken now.
Yeah.
You got to put
you know.
batteries back in it.
Yeah. if you're closing the show, you don't even do it if you're the headliner. Yes, do whatever you
They're
want.
there to see you.
They're there to see you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sun 572, that's great. Sun always shines. Yeah.
And your next comic.
And your next comic.
Well, it was
Yeah,
the
Nic
greatest.
Novicki, everybody.
It was the greatest because we did have, this was, it was talent night. They called it. It was open
Yeah.
mic. And this guy, legendary Wid, the best, first time I ever did comedy, he would do in between everybody, but he would have to come back on stage and get the mic because
Yeah.
we're all doing 5 minutes. Okay, everybody, and all right, and Sun 572.
Yeah.
But he'd pick it up.
What if they made you always go after him? Because it was just like, like the mic was easier for you to grab. So then, and then everybody nods. I guess he does that out of he's being nice.
Yeah.
So everybody was like fine with it.
It's always the dumbest thing too, because like when you run a comedy show, the last thing you want to see is somebody breaking the microphone. Like, don't hit your head with it,
Yeah.
don't drop it.
Yeah.
Like we all need that device,
Yeah.
so we can perform.
Guys with
Respect it.
Say a lot of times it's your microphone.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the comedian brought the PA system.
Yeah. It's
Well,
like,
and people with dental. Like
Oh, yeah.
you go grab a microphone and you just see it's got a big dent in it. And
Oh,
you know
yeah.
that came from someone's head.
yeah, somebody
like,
this
"Brr,
big.
brr, brr, brr." You ever walk in a room and fall on the ground? And you're like, it's got just caved in, and you're like, and the rest of the show we're all like, it's got a weird shape. It's like an ice cream cone, and like half someone took a big bite out of it, and you're like, all right.
Someone's closer.
Yeah. You're like, I hope it murdered. He's like, it does all right.
It is.
Like, it's like not that good. He's like, it's okay. Let me read. Well, go check out Michael Spirit Walker Mosley as a comedian. You should look up Rosie Black, who was the pitcher for the Queen and her court softball team. They were also a 4-person team that would play against other full teams and beat them. I've seen them play twice at Altus.
Never
Yeah.
heard of it.
Altus Air Force Base against the top men's softball players on the base. It was so hilarious to watch these big, brawny military men who were no slouches in fast pitch softball, and she would just smoke them. I've seen Rosie strike out men while she was wearing a blindfold, and she would even throw a pitch between her legs and strike them out.
Wow.
I mean, the
There's
Queen
Rosie
and
Black.
I wonder if they ever played.
The Queen and
The
King,
King
tour.
and
How
the
could
Queen.
that's huge money?
I mean,
yeah.
I honestly,
That's a missed.
I might look into this and get this going again.
Yeah.
What if we try to see? We just have them do a tour. They can come on the bus. They just have them tour with us, That's what we go do during the day. They come play your best. What if we could get it going?
That'd be amazing.
I feel like they would think Aaron's on the team. Just people walking by, like,
Yeah.
well, he's on the team.
No,
right?
Aaron would be the umpire. You actually look like you could be the umpire today. Just all
I
black.
know. Dustin and I wearing basically the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
This feels a little.
He's got a little bit more.
This feels like
Yeah.
NBA. Yeah.
Aaron, they would just be like, "So where's his padding under his shirt?" He comes off the bus. Oh, I guess does he say a bulletproof vest or something like that? And you go, yeah, something like that. We can make fun of Aaron because Aaron's lost 100 pounds.
I mean,
like it.
that's
like
the
it.
crazy thing. I mean,
I know.
I
One
haven't-
Krispy Kreme challenge, and then Aaron just.
That's all it took.
That's all it took. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
he's down.
13, huh? Wow.
Yeah,
I
we were-
mean, 60, 70 pounds, something like that.
yeah.
I mean, not to say, but it's not like he was ever this. He was just a big dude.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, just, you can watch it all.
But I
Yeah.
haven't seen you in a year.
Yeah, I'll say it's
since
been a
the
while,
Diamond
man.
Tour.
Yeah.
And I come back, you lost 100 pounds, you
Yeah.
got married, and now you're in Brian's seat.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
are really
working
improving
out.
for all of
Things
us.
are picking up. We'll go look into it. His tie into. Sorry. All right. Jason Staub or Stobe. Nate, the story of your daughter's softball team named the Nightmares had me laughing. I love the way kids think they are left alone to be creative with things like this. Wait, did I read that right? I love the way kids think they are left alone to be creative with things like this. It reminded me of last year when the coach of my 9-year-old daughter's soccer team gave them the assignment of thinking of a team name. When they all returned to practice the next week to vote on suggested names like Pink Dragons and Pink Panthers, my daughter's suggestion was the one they chose. They were the Washington football team.
That's so great.
I mean, the whole season. I couldn't have been more proud. I mean,
That's amazing.
You love that.
I love that.
You
That's
love it.
such a good name. That's so great. The Washington football team.
Oh man.
Oh, that's so good.
That's so
Such a
funny.
good name. I do. It's so wonderful. That's maybe one of a glorious thing of just seeing children and the pure innocence and what makes children so perfect is just let them choose their names.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what are they going to do? You know, I mean, the Washington football teams, which by the way, I love that name. Is
Yeah.
their team.
And that kid's hilarious. Whoever, whoever
oh,
did that is on
That's
point.
great.
On-
I mean, they're playing soccer, football team. She
Yeah.
knows it's called
technically,
football.
technically, yeah.
Technically, she's
Yeah.
right.
Are they in Washington? Who knows?
I don't know.
Doesn't
I hope
matter.
not. I
Hope they're in
hope-
Florida.
Nothing would make me happier.
It's
Yeah.
better.
If they're
if
in,
it's-
if they're in Florida and they're the Washington football team. Who are we playing this weekend? We got the Pink Panthers playing the Washington football team. If you were just gambling on that, you're like, well, I got to go with the Washington football team, right?
Yeah,
You
we
gotta
got
gamble on that.
we
I
got the
love
frozen
that.
gals.
I love it. McKay Potter. McKay Potter. 2 last names. McKay Potter.
Mhm.
You know? Doesn't it seem like that?
Yeah, Adam McKay, Harry Potter. That's what I thought
So
of.
you thought that's what you thought. So maybe when he was named that, it wasn't that. And then
Yeah.
now it's like
Yeah.
McKay Potter, and everybody goes, "Yeah, but what's your last name?"
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
he
what's your
probably
first name?
has to deal with this every day.
Yeah,
Oh,
every
Potter's
single day.
If you
lot of
have
Harry.
Potter in your name, chances are people think you're just a giant Harry Potter fan.
You think they think
That's
they
what you
changed
think
their
they
name?
think. You think
Yeah.
they changed
they
their
changed
name?
the name.
Changed the name because of it. Like,
Yeah. That's
my
what-
dad
yeah.
was a huge Harry Potter fan.
So he changed his
He changed his
last
whole
name, which is a little bit harder
Changed
to
his
do than
last
at
name.
first. Yeah, middle name maybe, but like you're saying,
You got to go down. You got to fill out
yeah,
documents.
it's a big
It's the whole
deal.
thing.
to
It's a
change
big
it.
deal.
That's how big of a fan he was,
Yeah.
and that's what you think every time you see a Potter.
I think a lot of them.
You think he
Lot of
changed? He
Potters.
changed his last name to Potter, but kept McKay as his first name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just went. He goes. He moved it. McKay was just sitting there on the bench, and then he got brought up. He goes, "I'm bringing Potter in." He goes, and then McKay goes, "I guess I'm out." And he goes, "McKay, it's your lucky day." And then Billy's like, "So what does that mean for me?" You know, and Billy's throwing out the bat. I like it. Changed his last name. He was a big Harry Potter fan. Hi, folks. First time commenter, long time listener. Welcome to the show, McKay Potter, because we've given you the full service. I went to the dentist this morning to get a crown. The dentist had one of those TVs on the ceiling where you can watch Netflix. I put on Greatest Average American, and the dentist was giggling the whole time. Pretty uncomfortable to have the dentist laughing while holding a drill in my mouth. But I made it out alive, and you got a new fan. He said he's going to listen to the podcast, so keep it up. Well, welcome to the show.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. That is. I mean, you know, if he's laughing at it. Just in there, like he's just you hear like beep, 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 beep.
Like,
He's
oh,
like,
sorry,
"Whoa."
sorry.
Okay. He gets like 4 other teeth. Beep, 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 beep. Sorry. Oh man, we're gonna do 5 crowns now, McKay.
If it's all right to ask the dentist what
I don't know.
cortisone does to your mouth, I would like.
Yes, McKay. Could you write us back? Could you ask your dentist? I mean, anybody truthfully will let us know, and we'll let you know in the comments. What happens if you put cortisone in your mouth? We're not going to look it up. We would just like one of our folks. I mean, we got a lot of smart folks here.
We do.
And so they are definitely going to know. We got all the scale. We got the smart folks that will know the answer. And I think we got some folks that have also done this.
Yeah. Right.
So we get everybody. And so let's get some from experience and then maybe just from some doctor stuff to figure that out. All right. Scribd. With today's endless amount of content across multiple platforms, trying to find a book or audiobook or podcast takes forever. Sometimes I even give up before finding something. It's hard to find something, honestly, when you look for something. But now I have it. I go to one place, Scribd. Scribd. With Scribd, you get instant access to millions of ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, and more. You also get thoughtfully selected editor's picks and smart recommendations based on what you read, which makes choosing your next book that much simpler. Wired, TechCrunch, and Forbes has called it the Netflix for books, which is great. It's like a streaming service for TV today. They have access to so much content at our fingertips. The same thing goes for books. Instead of standing in front of your bookshelf waiting for a title to jump out at you, sign up for Scribd. You get instant access to millions of ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, and more with one low monthly subscription. So far, I've listened to a few podcasts. I've listened to a few audiobooks on the road. It is so easy to have it all in one place. With Scribd, the world's most fascinating library is at your fingertips, all for just $9.99 a month. Maybe they have a dyslexia book. You know, I go read one of those. Right now, Scribd is offering our listeners a free 60-day trial. Why would you not try it for that?
Yeah.
60 days.
They got sheet music on here, too. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
if you're a musician.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a good idea. Like, it's like just to have all this stuff, like, you know, you get, just read magazines and stuff, the news. And
magazines is so much better.
Yeah, it's like just easier to get to. It's all in one place. And then, I mean, people would probably do it just magazines, even if they weren't reading all these books. I was even thinking about, because been looking for some new books. I was into reading these military books. And like, I watched 13 Hours again. And I was like, well, let me go read something about that. Like, I just end up like, and so it's like, you just go there and you're like, well, I can look at it like the Netflix, like, and then I don't know. You know, it's hard to find stuff when you go to a bookstore. You know, I never learned the Dewey Decimal System.
They get that at the bookstore?
Dewey Decimal System?
That's at the
bookstore?
library.
That's at the library.
Maybe that's why I was so hard to find. Why don't I have to go there now? I just go to Scribd. 60-day free trial. Go to try.scribd.com/Nate for your free trial. So that is, so you would type in try, then just a dot, then scribd.com/Nate to get 60 days of Scribd for free. Very cool. And final, Vivint. Vivint, we have a Vivint door at our it's like the door thing. You see when someone's coming. It's very cool. We have a new improved home security system. It's awesome. I mean, like we said, you see who is at your door exactly when they are at the door. I can talk to them. Most secure systems can detect crime, but can yours actively prevent it? That's what Vivint does. When it comes to home security, every system I've looked at can detect somebody coming to your house, but I wanted something that would actually stop them before they even got there. When it comes to home security, it's important to have the best. That's why you have got to check out Vivint. They make the best home security system money can buy. But don't take my word for it, because USA Today and US Newsweek picked Vivint as 2021's best overall home security system, and TechCrunch says don't do it yourself. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm messing up this. They says don't DIY your smart home security system. The pros at Vivint are totally worth the cost. Basically that. I can't even say that word. So you don't go put your alarm system together that does nothing. Just had the pros come do it. That's what they do, man. It's nothing better. They come fix it. They've been there for over 20 years. Vivint has put home security first. A Vivint smart home security system that is custom built for your unique home that will give you peace of mind. Security cameras. I mean, we have the doorbell camera they sent us. My favorite feature is seeing who is there and not having to. You don't have to get up. You just get in. You know, 'cause a lot of times if someone's dropping a package off or something like that, you got to think you got to run there, and you're like, oh, I don't got to go up. Not only is Vivint the best home security, we are giving Nateland listeners the best offer you will find anywhere for Vivint home security system. If you go to vivint.com/Nate and use promo code Nate, you will receive up to 6 months of free monitoring. Right? Is that how you say
Monitoring.
Monitoring.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Free monitoring. No, say it. Free
Monitoring.
Monitoring. Ooh. Well, you get it for free for 6 months.
Yeah.
And that is plenty of time to learn that word.
Right.
You know? By the time you know the word, that's when you know your time's up.
Yeah.
That's right. Up to 6 months of free monitoring. When you go to Vivint, VIVINT.com/Nate, and you use promo code Nate, or you can even call them at 1-855-VIVINT0 and use our promo code Nate on the phone. That's 1-855-VIVINT0 with promo code Nate. Go use them. Help us out, because I don't know how to say the main thing they do is just monitor.
Ing.
You know,
And so I learned that word.
it would have helped to have that on the bus yeah. So Saturday night, you know, we're doing the show, and after my parents came,
Yeah.
so I wanted to, you know, them to see and their friend inside of the bus,
Yeah.
and there was, you know, I knock on it. But Ricky kind of went like this and didn't see me, and he just sees my parents.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I'm not letting these random people
On
the bus. And so he opened it up. He's like, oh man. He's like, I didn't see you there. I was like, oh, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Vivid would have been nice.
That happens to me all the time. He always knocks on my door, and I just look, and it's a whole sitcom every time.
The wind.
Yeah. You're not a big doorbell guy. I mean, there's no doorbell on the bus.
Yeah.
Why didn't you use the code to get in?
I didn't know the code.
You know the code. We all know the code.
Yeah.
No one told me. So.
Yeah.
I think there was a meeting.
I think there. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you got a text message or something.
Yeah, there was.
There's something that's like, hey,
Yeah.
here's the code. You get in and off the bus.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
We were all on board.
But
I knew it.
I did it for Ricky. You know, I wanted him to have that experience.
Yeah. That's good. You gave Ricky the experience. We did. We had a fun weekend this weekend, and today was I usually work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We try to if I'm in town, and trying to turn a new leaf. And I'm actually in great shape, but I eat still so bad that it's like it just keeps it like it's just my body's like solid. It's just solid. My fat is like. It's kind of in a place. Like it's like it's almost like I organized my fat. Like that's all I've done. Is like because the eating doesn't help, so it's just now and like it's all in the right cabinet. You're like, well, no, that's supposed to be up there. It fits in the cabinet now. Before it was out. Now it just fits in there.
It's still full.
It's partially been organized by Krispy Kreme. I feel like
we had a Krispy Kreme this weekend. We got
24.
Kevin Best is the best. So funny, dude. I ate some of those Sour Patch Kids last night. And we were almost out of them. Like they were getting to the bottom.
They were gone.
And so then last night I was like, I kind of remember, I was like, oh, I got those upstairs. And so I went to go get them and they were full. And I kind of was like, I didn't really realize what happened, but I was like, I thought they were gone. And I was like, these are back to full. And Kevin noticed that we were down and sent us a new box.
Just from seeing it in the background of the podcast.
Just seeing the background.
Oh, wow.
Kevin keeps an eye on it.
It's a real fan.
Kevin also a Sour Patch fan.
I like them. The movies only. It's the only time I eat them.
Yeah, at the movies?
Yeah.
But why stop there if you enjoyed it at the movie?
Because I like to have that moment as a special moment. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I should do that.
Like milk duds. I don't do milk. You're not eating milk duds in your car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
I eat
There's
Sour
certain
Patch Kids
food
in my car.
Do you?
I ate them on the couch. I ate them watching the news. I ate them. I ate a lot of them.
It's not my
on the driving tour. I was eating a lot of them. I got cavities when I got back.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, we got a dentist for you.
Put
some call McKay Potter and be like, "Your dentist open? Does he got any room I can jump in there?"
Watch cortisone be great for cavities.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that'd be amazing if they're like, "Nick, I'm not gonna lie to you. Cortisone you should brush your teeth with." I looked at the box. I thought it was Arm & Hammer, so I started drinking it. What if we put bleach under the sink next to mouthwash?
I mean, if it was in a mouthwash container.
Well, obviously that would trick everybody on Earth.
I remember my dad told me in the 50s or whatever, they would put Ajax on their teeth to get them white.
Oh, really?
They would just rub their teeth with the Ajax. He said, that's how we got white teeth back in the 50s.
The fact that they figured that out.
Yeah, some guy.
Yeah. And that just word got around. I wonder if type in Ajax to get your teeth white. I wonder if that was a common thing or if it's like your dad's neighborhood.
Well, it's Texas. Wichita Falls, Texas. Big Ajax teeth whitening program.
No, there's nothing officially written up about it.
Yeah. It's just one of those. It's like giving a baby whiskey.
I one time used the white magic eraser. It worked pretty good actually.
You got a little bit of your dad in you.
Yeah,
you can't get it. You're like, I'm not doing Ajax, but you're like, I mean, it makes sense. Why would it not do it if it does it on using whiteout on your thing? That's so great.
Again, though, the food that made us,
the food that made us.
Food that made. I'm retitling it because that's the good.
Yeah.
But Coke was started because it was all weird tonics that people were taking to try to, home remedies.
Yeah.
And then Coke, they put cocaine in it and all kinds of stuff.
The upper.
But it was just.
Yeah, I don't think you know a lot about it.
I do.
I had it on the background.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
It's the greatest show. I mean,
this is all the same show.
This is all. So it goes through different things, including Hershey. Actually, we're going. So
Hershey, PA. We'll be there.
Good chocolate.
We added a third show in Hershey, PA, on that Sunday. So if you want to go, Hershey, PA, apparently a lot of fans there. Pretty awesome.
Have you been to the Hershey World?
No, we
want to
go
so bad.
Is it a theme park?
I went. It's it's a whole thing, man.
Yeah.
But there's a where the factory is, right?
It's all there.
Oh, so we need to go.
You should go for sure.
Maybe we'll try to go Sunday because we have 2 shows Saturday, and then Sunday I think we have it. Someone talked about golfing, but I think I'm golfing. I'm golfing Saturday morning in DC, and then so I don't know if I could golf in Hershey. I'd rather, honestly, I want to go golfing, but I would like to go see that because I've never seen there. So let's try to go Sunday to the Hershey. What is it, Hershey World?
Yeah, Hershey. There's a bunch of different stuff there. The whole city's like Hershey themed. It's pretty cool. I did a weekend in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, at the Comedy Zone there, and it's equidistant to Hershey and Gettysburg.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I do? I mean, I want to see Gettysburg.
But Hershey is your Gettysburg. Is your Civil War. You've had a battle with Hershey for hundreds of years. And so you're like, that one is more, it means more to you.
Right.
You got to go on the road.
I remember thinking, I was like, if I don't go to Hershey, it's like those guys died for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, your body's battled it for, that's what your Civil War is. That's what I meant by it. Like you go, Hershey World is like I've lost a lot of stuff on this. You walk by, you see because now you've lost weight, so you go look by diabetes grave, and you go like, I ain't gonna see you anymore. That's where the gout's buried, and all the things that you conquered. He used to have gout.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah,
might still have it. Afraid to get checked.
Afraid to get checked.
He is 1800s.
Gout survivor. Yeah. He fits right in. So how far is Gettysburg?
It was like an hour from, or maybe even less than that from.
You gotta go see Gettysburg
from,
too. I'd love to
from
see
Harrisburg.
Gettysburg. But that's true. Would we choose Hershey's over Gettysburg? I think we might just because we're in the town.
We could probably do both, and maybe on the way.
Well, I got to golf that morning. It's going to be. We got to get there. We have 2 shows Saturday. And we're being DC. We're coming from DC. But maybe we can, because I want to. So this weekend we were in Portland, Maine. Awesome town. And they Portland's, Maine's, it's just very, very pretty up there.
Beautiful.
And so we got up there, and so we ended up having one day off. Northampton, Massachusetts, which we apologize, Northampton. They canceled that show. They canceled it on us. Basically the day before.
Yeah.
Is when we kind of found out about it. And so we couldn't go. They're doing other shows there. I don't, who knows? The guy said it was because of COVID, but they were doing other shows in the town. So I don't know. I feel bad. I don't want to just trash the guy. There could be a reason he had to do it, or he thought he had to do it. So we're going back June 5th. Tickets are on sale now for that show. We're going. We're going to we're doing the venue across the street from that place.
No animosity.
It's total
just coincidence.
Just what do you want us to do? It's not the biggest town, and that's where the other place was. So, but that place I'm sure is a wonderful place, and it just worked out. I felt bad for everybody. I mean, we were very excited to go to Northampton.
Yeah.
We're out there. We want to go do a show. And that's why we ended up going to Mohegan Sun. So we will be back there June 5th, which they have to wait again. So sorry. But we were there, and actually, someone that was going to come, the Batesville Instagram, she was going to come. She runs it. Very funny. Very funny.
Too. Yeah, she's great.
Too. And so Batesville, they were going to come to that show. That gets canceled. We then invite. So but she lives in the middle of Connecticut, Torrington, and Northampton.
Oh.
And so we were like, she messaged Nick. I talked to her, and then so we're like, we'll just come to Connecticut. And she was like, I think lived closer to Connecticut, and we're gonna go meet and do some meet and greet. I was going to meet her and stuff like that. The Batesville podcast, and 1,000 followers. She's doing really good and very funny. And then so she's gonna come to that. Doesn't make that show. Misunderstood, kind of a mess up, not on our end, but it was just with the venue, and like it was just a kind of a thing, and doesn't make it, which we as Bates told her is just perfectly on brand, and even makes it. I mean, sadly, but Bates is not even here today. It's all just kind of comes together. It all kind of works out. And I mean, because I wish she will be at a show. We will meet her.
Right.
So I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
But it's very funny to be the Batesville one. Batesville podcast doesn't make the show.
You get into all kinds of Bates predicaments.
You get in Bates predicament. You have tickets to 2 shows, and you can't get to either one of them.
She was so excited.
Yeah, very excited. She was wonderful. She was very nice. We messaged with her, and so we will meet Batesville. Next time we come through. It's just perfect though.
And she calls me Mick,
she calls you Mick. So Nick gets called Mick.
Yeah.
We had some "Let's Go" folks yelled out. We talked about that last week though. Like I love it. I love it every time they yell it out. It's built perfectly. And so it's a fun time. And that means great. The Aaron jacket, the Nate's jacket. I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's perfect. So very funny. So we had this morning was talking about, so I was supposed to work out. I didn't tell it right. So 9:40, usually I work out 9:45 in the morning, which I'll be honest with you, I usually roll out. I mean, I am waking up and working out within sometimes 3 minutes of waking up. I don't know if that's
you
good
sleep
for
in
you.
your workout clothes? Or you just throw them on?
No, I just throw them on real fast, and we work out in my driveway. And so I just have to walk out there. But I mean, I come out, and I mean, it's like, I always wonder, is that bad to be, I am dead asleep, and then within 3 minutes, I am sprinting up the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, you got to ease into the day a little bit, man.
I think water's probably good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have water yet. So I wake up, pee, and then I'm sprinting.
Just 0 to 100. Yeah.
All within 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And then lifting weights. I mean, but it's just, I try to wake up at 9. I'm trying to make myself get up at 9. And 9 a.m. is a tough one. It's like, I'm trying to make myself, I want to be like, 9 a.m. would be perfect. I'm not going to go to bed at 1, even 2, and get 7 hours and just set the alarm for 9. But it's like, I don't fall asleep at 2. It gets hard, especially we've been now. And so this morning, I set my alarm for, I was setting it for like 9:27, I think, randomly, because there was a 9:27 You know, you look at all your alarm times. It's always kind of weird.
I don't want to edit that.
And you're like, all right, 9:27 it is. And so I set it for 9:27, and I don't hear it. Laura comes in at 9:40. I remember it was like 9:42. I asked her, I go, what time is it? She goes, 9:42. She goes, they're out there working out. And I don't know what I thought. But I was like, all right. I go, okay. And then I wake up at 11:20. I mean, I slept. I went to bed, probably fell asleep close to 2. And so what is that? 9 hours, 9.5 hours,
about
basically.
9 hours, yeah.
I think that I needed that more than I needed
the workout.
To work out. I wanted to work out. I was very tired last night. We were all very tired last night. I've been going since we started this tour, the 7th. I've only had one day home since then. And it's just been, it's hard to get back to sleep on the road. And like the weekend before, we had double shows every night. So, I mean, I wasn't going to bed till 4 every morning. And then, some nights I'd wake up at 11, but sometimes have to get up at like 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. And so it was, I think my body was like, it's just over. It was done.
Yeah, we were trying to hit the simulator thing. And
yeah, I mean, last night we went in and tried to play some golf, and it was like we were all. I mean, you're seeing this futuristic machine, and you're going. That's like you choosing to go to Hershey over Gettysburg. You go like, I just can't do this, and none of us were like, it's just
we're exhausted.
We're exhausted,
like falling asleep.
Yeah. So the last night after Torrington, we had a little mess up with our flight. And so we ended up having to spend the night in Torrington. So we just went to a parking lot and parked the bus and had the greatest night ever.
Yeah.
It was like 65 degrees, 63 degrees. You wear a hoodie or you could wear, some short sleeves.
Yeah.
And we went out and played poker. Ricky Ware, our bus driver, this is his hat. He was in the Navy. And so Ricky saw me wear the Air Force hat one time. And he goes, I got to get you a Navy hat. And I kept asking. I was like, where is it, Ricky? You told me you would get it. Ricky gave it to me. So here it is. And so Ricky was out with us. We got Chase sells the merch. 22 years old. He's we think he's like a Benjamin Button kind of thing. And so we think he could be 80.
Yeah.
Because he knows like too many things.
Yeah.
Like we play poker and we're like, I play poker. He's 22. Like I'm learning poker. I've been playing for a month. So at 22, I'm like, well, he doesn't know how to play poker. And he knows everything about poker. And he's actually good at it.
He's the only one that's like, so he knew the blind.
The big blind, but he knows where everything goes.
Yeah. We're still like, what?
Whose turn is it? Travis, my tour manager, which I think I posted. If you want to follow Travis on Instagram, I think it's Travis on Tour 13 or something. And then he, you can look up that. So he's been posting a lot of stuff kind of behind the scenes. There might be a dash in there too. I don't know. But he's been posting a lot of stuff. No, that's it. Travis on Tour 13. There you go. So he's been posting. So that was so that's just the poker thing. So that was us in the venue. Those three are good. And if you go look at more, if you want to go look at it. Mm-hmm. And so Travis on Tour, look at that top part though, the Instagram of
sorry.
Just the very top. We had that was the what's it called? The flop or the river?
Royal Flush.
The river. No, but that's the river, right? So the river is the thing that's all in the middle. And so if you look at that, it's a queen. Like, can you click it? There you go. Right there is good.
Yeah.
King, Jack, 10, Ace, Queen was the river.
It had the best.
That's not a Royal Flush. That's the next best. No, that's a Royal Straight.
Second. Yeah.
Second best hand. Yeah. I think. Royal Straight
was
on the river.
Never seen that happen.
Yeah. Never seen that happen. Travis took a picture of it. So like,
I think the river's the last card. It's the flop, the turn, and then
what do you call the thing in the middle then?
The flop.
I just call it. That's what's on the table.
That's what's on the table.
But the first three are the flop, and then the turn, and then the river.
Okay. And so you don't call it. That's not the river. That's a lake. Lake of cards.
Well, it's the five that are on the. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I might not even be right, but
yeah.
Sorry.
But Chase was though he was like, I never really played before, and he knew how to do everything. Where he would like, we're kind of like, should I bet more? And he's like, just betting a little bit, and he has like the best hand in the world.
Great. Yeah,
so he'd be baiting you in.
Oh, he was great at it.
There's also something great about just being in a parking lot because as a kid in Texas,
like tailgating.
That's all we did.
Yeah.
We just go to parking lot, Kroger parking lots, and just hang out and like.
I mean, we pulled the.
It just felt so natural.
We had a table. Travis had some poker. Travis he's good at poker too, and so he plays. I always say with Travis, if he ever gets low, he just looks at us like an ATM and he just goes, all right, well, I'll go get some more money now. And then he just gets it. And then he's like, Travis will be like, you're like, I think he's going to lose this time. Like we did one night. And we do, it's a very fun, we do $20 buy-ins. So when we were in Mohegan Sun, which is an awesome casino, we went down there, I played a little blackjack, got destroyed. And then we just all went up to the room and played poker. Yeah. It's very funny to be like, well, how are we going to lose the least amount of money? Go play in the room and play poker.
Yeah.
And so we just do $20 buy-ins. So if you lose, your worst case, you're going to lose $40. But if you win, you're going to win $30, which is a fun number to win.
Yeah.
Like having an extra $30 is like, awesome. You're like, man.
But it is funny though that we play poker in Mohegan since we could have just gone to LaQuinta Inn, you know?
Yeah, we could have.
Like we didn't need to go to this casino.
We were in the casino. It was very fun. We have a bus. That's always the hard part. We had a good bus. We could
parking spot.
We could have parked in the bus and slept on the bus.
Yeah.
Which is what we did in that parking lot.
It was fantastic.
It makes it so fun. I mean, it was just, I was like
music and
we had music playing. I mean, no one was really around. And it was just like, this is what it's about. Like, dude. And so we've been posting stuff. Yeah. So if you want to go follow Travis, me and Travis grew up together, went to high school together, and he's now my tour manager. And he's been posting a lot of behind the scenes kind of stuff. So Travis on Tour 13. So you can see stuff that, I'm not posting, but he does. And you see Chase when you go buy merch. Chase is great. Ask him how old he is. He thinks I just think he just knows too much, man. He's like, he knows everything.
It is like a reincarnation thing. Like it makes you think, maybe he was somebody dude before that dude.
Either that or he's really 46 and he's like, look, guys, just go with me on this.
Go with me. I'm 23. Yeah. I mean, look, he looks 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why we think it's the Benjamin Button. So we think he's on the back end and he's lived a life.
Yeah.
And so he knows everything more than us.
Just an old soul.
An old soul.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff we think he knows is poker and video games. Those are the two things that we were blown away by. Video games, we played NBA 2K, which me and Nick always have a running game. And he's like, yeah, I'll play it. Just beats me immediately, which I lost because of Nick.
Yeah.
Nick got in my way.
How did Nick get in your way?
Started asking me questions at the very end. And I got a 5-second.
Oh, he got in your way mentally?
Mentally.
He's good at that.
Talking to me. I get a 5-second penalty because I don't pass the ball in. And then Chase beats me.
I just go up to him and say, what does cortisone do to your mouth?
Yeah. He starts giving me a big cortisone talk. And I'm like, and I dive into that podcast. So anyway, we ended up having a wonderful weekend. Northampton will be back. Portland, Torrington, Connecticut, 2 great shows. We met some wonderful people. Brent Stark was his name. I believe it's Brent Stark. And then, it was Brent though, and his son Austin. They took me golfing out there. We went with them, and it was I met his family afterwards, and so it worked out. I get a lot of messages about golf, and people always ask. I want to try to. I don't always see them, but if you email, you can email. You can email the podcast, Nateland@Bargatze.com. If you have a place to go play. Sometimes I get to play. Sometimes when we have 2 shows, it's actually kind of hard for me to play with 2 shows. I try to play. I can't say we're always going to get back to you, but if it can work out, I went and played with them by myself. Like I don't mind playing with. Sometimes maybe I'll bring one person with me, and then you bring 2 people. Mm-hmm. It's fun. You get to meet some people. It's cool. It's a fun time. These dudes were great. They played great. And so it was. I got Austin. I showed him how I read greens. Felt great about that. Yeah. Probably don't even do it right, but it made sense to him. Yeah. And he actually just broke. He's oh man, how old was he? He's in 8th grade, I think, and he broke 90 for the first time. After he did my green putting method,
and that helped.
That helped.
Have. Wow,
it's a good method. I said, close your eyes and
hope for the best.
And hope for the best. And he just drained them from all over. So it was super fun. And then you had a big weekend.
I did the Ryman. I headlined it. The Ryman here in Nashville.
Headlined it. Can you believe that, man?
That's amazing.
Sold out.
Sold out.
Sold out quicker than mine.
Sold out.
He's got 3.
Well, I only did one. That's the thing.
He only did one. That's true. But sold out. Can you believe that? Just from this podcast.
Wow.
Yeah. No one knows him from anything else. Aaron's done the least amount of things.
That is true.
But this podcast, he sold out the Ryman in a couple minutes.
13, 14 minutes. But
wow.
Pretty amazing, man.
Pretty amazing, yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
And then you went to...
And I was at the St. Louis Helium.
Yeah.
Did that last night. Drove in this morning.
Who'd you go with there?
Dustin Nickerson.
Oh, yeah.
I was there with him.
Were you featuring for Dustin?
Yeah.
So he was. So man, can you imagine that? How that's
the highs and lows of comedy.
He headlines the Ryman.
Headlined the Ryman.
And then has to go be the middle act at the St. Louis Helium.
So
is that that's just how it goes sometimes?
Yeah, work is work.
Work is work.
Yeah, there's no bad labels.
It's hard to get to wrap your head around that. I mean, 300 people chanting your name when he walks out. At the Ryman,
572.
Sun 572. Sun always shines. And then goes to St. Louis Helium with Dustin Nickerson, very funny comedian, who comes out and meets some, and then just has to be the middle act.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
So
now I'm here.
Now he's here.
So it's been a wild weekend.
Wild up and down weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe all of this?
I believe it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Well, he opened for Kathleen Madigan at the Ryman.
Yeah.
Okay. I was on. I was happy for him. I was excited.
You believe that he sold out the Ryman in 13 minutes.
Yeah.
But in St. Louis can only get middle work. Yeah.
Well, in fairness, St. Louis is
a tough city.
It's a tough city.
That would be a tough gig.
I love how quickly Nate was on board to lie about that.
Oh,
you were ready to go.
I mean, that was everybody. Everybody at home got to watch that just to be like, yeah. It's so funny to think. I've done some gigs like that where I remember I did a show. There's a guy, I've actually seen him. He works for the FBI. And we got a tour of the FBI last time I was in D.C. And I did a show at his house. I was in San Jose, a weird city that I've been to quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Very early on. I don't know. I haven't been back in a while now. But very early, I went to San Jose. I was like, that was one of the most cities I've been to. And just opening for people. Angela Johnson a lot. And she's from up there, so that's a big reason for it. But then I always would have a corporate gig up there. Or something. It always just ended up being there. So he asked me to come in there and headline at his house. And he had a little microphone, little tiny room, like 20 people in there. It was great. And then I flew from his house to open for Fallon the next night.
Wow.
So within 24 hours, it was just I was in front of, it's like so crazy.
Yeah, I was just at a bar show in LA and then I was at the touring.
Yeah. It's so funny to be like, that's what you end up doing is like, you're just in this kind of like, and all are great shows.
Yeah.
But you go in, you're like, all right, I'm in front of 20 people and now you're in front of 3,000.
Yeah,
and you're like,
crazy.
I mean,
I was just last night talking to 20 people.
That's show business, though.
That's show business.
You can see me on TV, and then you're like, I'm trying to,
well, you were
opening for Sun 572.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying that about your first TV credit in New York.
CMT.
Yeah.
Over here, CMT Comedy Stage, hosted by Melissa Peterman. A lot of funny, great comics were on it. First TV credit I got, I shot it in Nashville. Everybody on the show thought I worked for CMT. That's how much no one knew me. And I go and do that. It was in Nashville. It was very cool. Everybody got to go to it, my family and all that. And then I go back to New York, and we've talked about barking on this show. So we all barked, or you barked early, then you ran the club. And so I went back to barking after that. And I remember just thinking, I was at the Village Land, not Boston, but I think Boston might have been already wrapped at this point.
Yeah.
And then
we're at the Improv, I think.
Yeah, you were at the Improv. And then so I'm handing out flyers at the Village Lantern, and I was like, I was on TV. I just did TV, and that's how much they thought of CMT. Is that they still made me hand out flyers. And they would still use my credit to get everybody in. This guy was on CMT, and I would tell them that. I was just on CMT. Would you like to come to the show? And then have to bark them in.
They're like, in a music video? You're like, no.
Did stand-up comedy on it.
Yeah.
A couple people thought I was famous.
Yeah.
No.
The great Vic Henley was on there, right?
Vic Henley.
Yeah.
Vic Henley, one of the best.
But the TV show Crashing
Yes.
was basically like the lifestyle. And
Yeah, it
like
was our life.
it was our
story.
life, really.
He got to it first.
Yeah. He did a great job.
He did a great job.
It was
Great
cool to
job.
see it.
Dustin was in it.
He put me on it. Yeah, it was
you
great.
were in it.
Yeah.
Boston Comedy Club. So I've talked about how we started here, and what's cool is you're getting to see this is it. This is how we started. Dustin at that point was running the Boston Comedy Club.
Yeah,
and so it was a huge part of my career is because when I came to New York, I started in Chicago. I took the comedy class, but then I got like the real comedy class of learning. I always say, and it's kind of sad because there's not much of it anymore, right? Like that kind of mentoring or learning how to do it that way.
It's changed a little bit.
It's changed. Like, the people. So back then, 2000, 04 is when I moved there. When did you go to New York?
Full time in like 05, but I was going back and forth for a couple of years from Philly.
Yeah. So you would, that mentoring and the fact, I always thought it was like, I got very lucky to be able to start. So if you've seen the show HBO Crashing with Pete Holmes was also with us all starting. And it was it's like, it's just pretty rare to get that. Like we got like, we had to pass out flyers. So you have to earn it, but you feel a lot more ownership in your career now. I do now. And the fact that you had to kind of go through everything. And so you had to be like, we're out there, you're barking for the show that you're going to be on. And you're learning about these comics that, before you get there, I don't really know who Bill Burr is. And everybody's got to realize, someone said in that article they called, he was calling Bill Burr and Patrice up-and-comers, like in the Atlantic article. They said that. But when I started in 04, they were up-and-comers.
Yeah.
That's what he meant by that. Like they were the up-and-comers. They were the ones that were, on the rise, been doing comedy 10 years and like kind of starting to get like, but no one knew them.
No, they weren't household names.
They weren't, I mean, they weren't selling out because we would go, I would see Bill Burr. We all watched Bill Burr and Patrice. I mean, watch Bill Burr at Caroline's. They have a curtain in the middle. I think I've talked about it. They closed the curtain because it would either be it could make it be a room for 100 people or it could be a 300 seat room. But they'd have a curtain that'd go down the middle, which always is great for comedy clubs.
Absolutely.
When you have, when the room is so big and then it's like, if people are just sitting there and if you close that curtain of 40 people, it feels great.
Yeah.
And then if they open it and then you're sitting 40, everybody feels like, oh, no one's here. But you can make 100 room, you can make 100 seat room feel like, man, it was sold out. And you're like, no, there's 250 seats behind y'all. But we just didn't show you them. And so a lot of clubs started doing that. But I mean, we saw Burr. I mean, I remember going and you could just walk in. I mean, there was 40 people there. Like,
I mean, the Boston Comedy Club was like this magical place because it's like I was running the Village Lantern. That was they'd never done stand-up comedy there before. They just had one open mic, and then I started like we were doing 7 shows a week.
Village Lantern is what was else there? Was that a big before it became that? It was just a bar.
It was just a bar. They mostly had music upstairs, and it was close to the Comedy Cellar. Yeah. And then a lot of the guys would do the Comedy Cellar, and then we come there.
Yeah. So this is all. Let's just set it where it is. Yeah. So it's the West Village.
Okay, West 3rd Street.
West 3rd Street in McDougal. So
Boston.
That's Boston. Is where Boston was. There's a fire department that was right next to it.
Yes.
I
ran in there a couple times.
Yeah. And so that's where it's now a wine bar. If anybody ever goes to New York,
Anderson Cooper bought it for his apartment.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal. Like when it was still a fire station.
Oh, yeah.
They were selling it off and he bought it and it was his apartment. I don't know. I don't know if he still lives there. But
they had a very like fancy restaurant next to us too.
Yeah,
that was the curtains.
It had no
closed.
name.
Had no name.
Yeah,
and like famous people.
You'd see Howard Stern go in and be like, "Oh, there he is!"
There he is. And they go in there and eat, and you couldn't see inside of it.
Yeah,
I remember we saw Dennis Miller. Yeah, which actually told Dennis this story when I was on his podcast.
I got his autograph in it.
Yeah. Remember, I told him this story. I said we saw you come out, and and I remember we were all like, we need to go make him try to go up.
Yeah.
And we all went over there and talked to him like, hey, you want to go on stage? We're right. I mean, it's a comedy club right here. Do you want to? You can just we're late, And that was one of the greatest things I think I liked the most. And one thing that I think gets a little lost now, something that you did that I always liked is if something like that where Dennis Miller wanted to go up, you were like, you want to go up now? you would make it so easy for which he said no. But I mean, this time I think was.
But one quick thing, and I remember he was on the sidewalk, and I grabbed his headshot up off the wall, and just was walking with a frame like on the sidewalk, having him signing the glass on top of his picture.
Yeah, not only was he like, I don't want to go on stage, he's like, I don't want to see this guy.
Who's this guy in a cowboy hat that's chasing me down with a frame?
None of y'all talk to me ever again.
So this is when he had a show on HBO. Miller, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, he's doing that. I don't know if he's touring as hard.
He's still
at that
huge.
Point.
He's still
huge though. But it's I get it. He's like at a point where he's like, I don't really need to go up. Like I don't really care. Like he was touring, but it was like.
I think that's what it was about.
And we surprised him.
Yeah. But that's the thing about Boston. I mean, I saw Chevy Chase and Dave Chappelle on the same stage. Yeah. Like there was all kinds of stuff. But if somebody like that was coming through, that's who the audience wanted to see. And I think that's what has to be done. You see somebody that's, that's on the rise or a star, you put them on stage immediately. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
They can bump the Barker kid,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about me. Right in front of my face. He's like, he goes, who cares about this dumb Barker kid?
You'll get it. Eventually it'll work out.
They're a dime a dozen. I'll find another one.
Well, we did get bumped all the time.
As you should.
That was
supposed to be.
Dude, there's so sometimes comics they get upset about it now. So if they get bumped, they're like, oh, why am I getting bumped? And it's like a guy's doing comedy for 5 years or 4 years or 3 months. It doesn't even matter. And you're like, the ego to think you should get bumped is crazy.
Yeah.
But getting bumped was part of the thing that I wanted to get bumped.
It's like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, I got bumped by Dave Chappelle. How great of a story is that? You get to go home and be like, are you doing it? You're like, I mean, Dave Chappelle went up and I didn't get to go up. So he was on the stage and I do shows on that stage.
And you got to watch him.
And I got to watch him.
Watch how he works.
Do whatever he wanted to do. Now, we watched him in front of 7 people.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It wouldn't be like that for long because we'd go outside and be like, Dave Chappelle's on stage. And it would fill up.
If they believed us.
If they believed us. Yeah. A lot of times they didn't. I still think about those people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about them all the time. I told them Dave Chappelle was there.
You could have been at like an audience of 20 with Dave Chappelle working out 2 hours.
2 hours. I mean, I came here. I watched Dave Chappelle once walk out and he had a hoodie. He put a hoodie on and he almost ran into these 2 people. And just because he didn't see them, because you'd come down these stairs and once you come out, these people were walking. He goes, oh, sorry. And they were, oh, no problem. And then he ran off. And I always think about them like, they don't know, like they could have been like, that was Dave Chappelle.
Well, we were there with him, and the night before he went to Africa, we were right there. We saw all of it happen, and he could tell he was getting freaked out because I remember these 2 Irish guys, like they had these soccer jerseys on, and they just like took their jerseys off, and they wanted him to sign them, and they were like, just kind of going off, saying quotes from like the Chappelle show, and you could tell he was just getting really nervous around people.
It was like. Like the big thing when he left was like, it was like almost like it got too crazy and famous. And it was almost like a Beatles kind of thing. Like
he was a rock star. Like people would yell out when they see him,
freak
I'm
out.
rich.
Yeah. Just everybody yelling at him. And we had below it was the Bargatze in Boston, which was this Irish bar we talked about this weekend. Wild nights there.
Yeah, got a little crazy down there.
Got a little crazy down there. It was you would go underneath it. I mean, so so you got to where's that wine thing? It was on West 3rd.
Yeah.
So you go up to McDougal and make a right.
Yeah.
Go right.
Well, one thing,
right,
and then it's like 2. Yep. Keep going, and then it's stop right there. It's either where was it? The wine thing? Where it's the Amity Hall? Is that it?
Yeah. Well, the Zinc Bar is where Boston is. Is where the Bargatze in Boston is now.
Yeah. Where's the Zinc Bar?
I think that's still there.
Yeah.
Right here.
It's basically
So that's it. That's it.
So that's it right there. So it's basically on 3rd and Thompson, right?
In between Thompson and
Sullivan. And I would bark. I'd go bark at 3rd and Thompson a lot. And I would also
on this intersection right here?
On that intersection. But that there you're kind of in front of the club, so you just you're actually kind of working the club to that spot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also go down the corner of McDougal and 3rd Street, which the cellar was right there. And that was the biggest corner, is you would stand there. And you would be like, hey, we got a great comedy show. And then we'd also, where else would we go?
Well, that's with Ben's Pizzeria right there. The Louis intro.
Well, for a year, I would run the on Bleecker Village Lantern, and then I'd run over and start the Boston. So I was running both those clubs at the exact same time.
Yeah.
It was like crazy.
I mean, just back and forth.
Yeah, just running over. Yeah.
Yeah. Where would we go bark? Because then you'd have some turf war on barking.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, someone would go in your spot. You're like, yo, man, this is where we...
I got a lot of it in Times Square. It started happening.
But it did happen too with Village Lantern, which I think
when you stopped
doing
it,
anymore.
you were just doing Boston.
Then somebody else is doing it, and you would be.
Yeah, there would always be something ridiculous, and then it's at the end of the day, like, really, are we going to fist fight over three people from Iowa?
Yeah. I mean, it was.
It's like, come on, man.
We're just trying to get real people in the crowd.
Yeah.
So that's where. So that's the idea of like, so I mean, people have always. This is the most explanation I think I've ever given it, where we're showing maps and stuff of it. So McDougal Street, 3rd Street, Comedy Cellar's right there. Comedy Cellar is always there. Village Underground is now also part of the Comedy Cellar,
right?
Which was not there when we first started. It was there, but it was a music.
Yeah, and no disrespect to the Cellar, but the Boston was kind of it was you might see some very competitive shows there, to the Cellar. Like it was Patrice and Jim Norton and Chappelle. I mean, it was
some
just
guys that were not in the Cellar.
Yeah, it was kind of, I always say it's
Yeah.
kind of like that was more of the CBGBs, and the Cellar was kind of the hard rock. It's like more
Yeah,
polished.
Both two amazing places. And
Yeah.
I mean, the Cellar's obviously still there now, and the Cellar's, obviously the most famous club in New York.
But there's the Fire.
Yeah, there's the Fire. That's the restaurant, right?
Yeah, the fancy restaurant.
The fancy restaurant is where you would just see famous people walking out.
But we would see, Kevin Hart was there all the time.
Oh yeah,
Chappelle.
So that's what I would say. Like, that's why I wouldn't trade. I mean, I almost feel bad that the new comics don't have what I had, because I just don't think they would have learned. I always consider myself a New York comic, because I mean, that's where I was the most. That's where I really learned. I was in Chicago at the beginning. Chicago was very important to be in, but I was so new in Chicago, and I took those classes. It's like, obviously I'm just getting my feet wet and just being like, all right, so what is stand up? And I'm in Chicago kind of doing that. And then I go to New York, and that's where the learning began. And without the Boston and being able to do that, the faux bar is it, right?
Yeah.
So you'd walk up those steps, and then underneath it, zinc go down is where the Bagot Inn was run by. It was an Irish bar.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the guys we talked about was in the IRA that ran. Shane, I mean, a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude was like the real deal.
Gave me a lot of whiskey.
I mean, and just hearing him, like, it was crazy to be. I'm just from Nashville. I'm talking, and then the world just opened up, because then you're like, I don't even know what the IRA is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a kid from Old Hickory.
Yeah.
And then I go to New York, and then not that
I thought it was the NRA. Like,
yeah. It doesn't. Not that it even matters, but it was crazy to even be like, at that point, you're talking to a guy, and then you look up, you like figure out what the IRA is, and you're like, you're in it. You were doing it. Like, it was. Just, I mean, you could never imagine these worlds would come together.
Oh, yeah.
But, talking before about what were the 2000s, this is a time, too, where there was no real cell phone cameras.
Yeah.
So all this crazy stuff was happening. It wasn't like people were posting a video of Chappelle and before Twitter, before anything, really, MySpace.
Well, I remember we were at the Boston Comedy Club, and Patrice O'Neal was in the back, and when we used to this thing called phone books before we, had Google, and they would deliver these like big yellow phone books, and I remember there was a big stack of them at the Boston Comedy Club, and Patrice O'Neal had grabbed a whole stack of them, and Kevin Hart was on stage,
and Kevin Hart's not.
No, he's on the rise.
He's on the rise.
It's like Soul Plane.
When he walks
celebrity.
in, everybody's like, I think I've seen that guy, but I don't know.
Yeah,
he's not Kevin Hart as
no. I think Soul Plane was his big movie.
Yeah.
Like, it was something like that. Like, he was on the cusp of but he was still. And I remember Patrice O'Neal was in the back, and he was just throwing phone books. He's like, "Stand on this. We can't see you." And he's like throwing just random phone books, just throwing them at the stage. It was amazing.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, so the Boston Comedy Club was. It was such a big deal for me, like I said, because it was like handing out those flyers. So you're having to earn, my dad loved that. My dad, he would have magicians, because he knew a bunch of magicians in New York. Because, my parents were having to, I worked at FedEx. I mean, that was such a crazy time, because we'd hang out in Boston till 3 a.m. And then I would just go home to Brooklyn. We lived in Brooklyn at the time.
I remember that.
And I'd go to Brooklyn. I'd go to FedEx and work there at 5 a.m. And so I would go to bed 5 to 10 a.m. Then I'd go to bed at like noon and sleep until we had to be back at 6, 7.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of my time at the beginning was just like, it's 24 hours if you're doing something. You're you go sleep. And the other route was to go do open mics and do that kind of scene, which I had Sven Wexler, who I moved there with. Like he would do a lot of that kind of stuff, there wasn't as many alt rooms. There was a little bit more, but they weren't crazy. It wasn't the clubs were the main thing. You had to get into the clubs. Now in New York, I mean, there's alt rooms. I mean, people don't even play comedy clubs in New York.
Yeah, Brooklyn, rooftops,
I mean, there's,
whatever. Yeah.
You're wherever. You can get up in a million other places. Back then, it was like you need to be passed, which I think we talked about. Passed is a good thing. You need to be passed, accepted by all these clubs. And if you got passed by them, you could call in the Vels. So you'd call in every week. Hey, I can do. So you'd call in the Vels, and you'd be like, I can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I can do after 9:30, not before 9:30, and I can do Friday, Saturday. I'm wide open. And so you'd call the Vels in for the comedy clubs, and they would tell you call in all over the city, and then they would come back with you, and that's how your week would be built. And so then you would look at it, and you'd be like, all right, so I got to go here, 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 all these different comedy clubs. But being at the Boston was handing out those flyers and then getting people into these shows and then getting to watch, Judah Friedlander was always there. Judah Friedlander, his credit was he was the Hug Me guy in the Dave Matthews Band, which a lot of people might know that.
That's huge.
But that was his big credit.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a lot of people knew him from that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge thing. This
It's
was
a big
before,
video. Yeah.
Yeah, it was before 30 Rock. Like,
Well,
so I
that's-
mean,
People would want to hug him too.
they'd want to hug him. So he was the Hug Me guy in the Dave Matthews Band, and everybody would know him from that. Ben Bailey was there before he hosted Cash Cab.
Way before.
Way before.
We saw him get that over Gino.
Yeah.
As another comedian.
Yeah, over Cash Cab.
Yeah.
When he got it, it was such a big deal. And we're like, golly, you just watching these people do it. Aziz Ansari, I don't know if he came through the Boston. But
Absolutely he did. He was more at the Lantern, but I was...
Yeah. At the
part of
Lantern,
the crew.
just an open mic.
And then when I did another one in Times Square before that, I think or something.
Yeah. I went up there. That was the craziest barking.
Yeah.
I went up there. I don't know if I barked for you there. I barked for Ha because that went up later. I think we were already kind of moved on. I would go with Ha.
Sweet Carolines, I think.
Sweet Carolines.
It was before Ha.
Yeah. And then I remember barking in Times Square. That's the wildest thing you ever did.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was the first thing I think I did. And then I came to Boston.
Yeah.
Because then Pete was like at Boston.
Yeah.
And so I was like trying to figure it out. And Pete's at Boston. He goes, hey, come down here. And he was like, it's great down here. And then I remember being in Times Square. I mean, it's just.
And I just liked because you
chaos.
had a Tennessean accent. So
I was a Southern dude.
I had a cowboy hat. I was like, all right.
He's from Texas.
I was like, this is going to work out.
You have to take care of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
There was no
basically
choice. You were the only guy.
We're the only Southern guy.
Yeah.
It's like I walk up, you're like, you can't turn your back on me. Dude. Like, you have to make sure I'm going to be okay.
I know. It was just like this instinct. I was like, all right. You know, he's a terrible barker. Can't get anybody in.
I was awful, dude. I mean,
no energy on stage. It's like Black Latino night. He's up there. Hey guys.
Hey, how y'all doing? Not like
it was all rough.
It was rough, but he had no choice. I was dropped off at his doorstep, and he had to take care of it. That's what we always think. Even when I see Southern comics now, you're like, you always got to kind of keep an eye out for them because you're like, I got to make sure they're okay, man. Like
it's true. It's so funny that's how it is. Like Texans, I'm like that all the time.
Because well, you're coming like you were a guy from Texas that's in New York City.
Yeah.
You know that shock.
Tough.
It's such a big shock.
People treat you weird.
They treat you weird. And so you're like, I got to make sure this dude, Vic Henley was like that. Vic Henley, bless his soul. But he's from Alabama. He went to Auburn and he was super Southern. And he was like kind of a older, he was with Jeff Foxworthy at the beginning.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And so he was a comic that I remember first time I went to the comic strip, I bought a ticket to go. We just moved to New York and we're just trying to see the shows. And Vic Henley, I remember they called him. He was at his apartment. Someone didn't show up. And Vic Henley comes on stage and was like, just tell us. He goes, I was in my apartment watching TV and I get a phone call that's like, yo, whoever doesn't show up, can you come host the show? And he's like, I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Why am I here? And then everybody's laughing at that. And I remember as a comic, that was one of the almost best things I could have ever seen. And it was my first kind of thing. It was the first, I want to say one of the first shows I went to. And just to hear a guy and be like, everybody else just is like, oh, that's crazy and funny. But as a beginning comic, it was such a big deal to me to go, this is where I have to be.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That guy was at home and now he's on stage in front of everybody at this famous comedy club. I was like, I want to be that. Mm-hmm. How do I become that? And it wasn't like, I'm not like, I want to be Madison Square Garden. I just want to be that.
Yeah.
How do I get to be at home and get a phone call? And now I get to go do comedy at the Comic Strip, like one of the most famous comedy clubs in the world. And you're like, God, how do you do that? And so then you're like, well, there's steps to get to that.
Yeah.
So obviously, and then we go down there with you, and then you're at Boston, you're seeing people, there was levels. So it was us that were barkers. Who were you saying? It was me, Devanshi Patel, who's writing now in LA.
Jamie
Kilstein, John F. O'Donnell, Pete Holmes, Allie Breen barked. I think, did she? Maybe towards the end, a couple times.
A couple of people I don't remember.
There's a few we don't. That were
blur.
All. Yeah, that was. Yeah, it was all.
I mean, a little wild down there.
Yeah, it was our college.
It was. Yeah,
and
our fraternity. Absolutely,
we're a fraternity. Like we're there every night.
Yeah.
We're there we'd get there at 6 in the morning. I remember going and printing flyers with you.
There's a little bit of hazing.
A little bit of hazing, We'd have to go print the flyers.
That was the great cut them.
We'd have to cut them all to hand out.
At Kinko's, just cutting flyers.
Yeah.
That's great.
You'd have to make your own flyers. And we go there, and then we would go there and sit and do it. And it was, it was such a new thing. And so I were there, and you would like talk to us all, and you were like, all right, let's get people on the show tonight. We would always get to go up last. And so depending on that could be from midnight, maybe even if you're lucky, it was 11. If it was a night where not a lot of people were there.
Yeah.
Not audience, but like not a lot of comics dropping in.
Sure.
And then so you go up from 11 to, possibly 2 in the morning. And the show would run from that. I loved the show ran like that. And I think places should run it like that. Comedy Cellar doesn't do it, but it was perfect because it was the opposite of what there was no shows. There was during the week, the show starts at 8. You can show up at any point.
Yeah.
And then so
all night long.
So it depends on how many people we would have stop by would depend on how long. And I think you were one of the first comics that treated like the Bill Burrs and the Patrices with the respect that they weren't getting anywhere else because they weren't known, but they were starting to be known. And then the fact when they would come in, you're like, we'll get you up in 2.
Yeah, Greg Giraldo was
which I mean, it's like they were guys. Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Louis C.K. was probably 04 or 05. He was like kind of like Shameless.
Yeah,
like
he was writing for Conan and stuff.
Yeah, this was like, and I think
this is
Shameless came out, so like he was kind of a big deal. I mean, he's selling out Caroline's at this point.
Yeah,
about to start selling out the Guard and all that stuff. But he was the top outside of Chappelle.
Yeah,
he was like the top guy
because they hit about the same time.
Hit about the same time, and then so but I mean, you would show that respect to like Ben Bailey would come, and he was a big comic, and even though he's not hosting Cash Cab, but those guys would get to, they could come, they knew they could come at 10.
Yeah.
And they would get on stage immediately.
Yeah. I mean, New York's just a different animal. I remember one time at Gotham Comedy Club, for 2 years, I was the standby comic, and I would get $25, and I had to just stay at the show, like the weekend shows. Everybody was always late and stuff, so they had somebody just on deck at all times. So I got 25. It was amazing. I got $25, and I would just hang out all Friday, all Saturday, and just wait for somebody to be like, "Hey, I'm in traffic," and be like, "Yes." And sometimes I'd see him walking down the sidewalk, I'd be like, "I don't know where he is." I'm like, "Come on, get me up, get me up."
I'll go. Yeah.
But that's part of the craziness too, where certain comics, you're doing 5-6 spots in a night, and things have to work out at that, like, because it's going to take 15 minutes to get from point A to point B in a cab, and you're getting up and you have to leave right away to get to the next.
Here's what I can tell you: if you're at Caroline's, if you're a comic listening to this in New York, if you're at Caroline's and you got to go to the Village, Cellar, whatever, and you got spots, and you got to go back to Caroline's and then go back to the Cellar, take the subway.
Absolutely.
No cabs. Every time I did a cab, I missed the spot every time. And subway was just so much faster.
Oh, yeah.
And you could do it. But then sometimes you're like, you're making, I think we've talked about it. So you'd get $25 a spot during the week, Sunday to Thursday, $75 to host during that week. And then the weekends you'd get $125 to host a show. Because the idea was, if you're hosting, you always got paid more, because you couldn't go run around and make money at spots.
Yeah, and I also think it's somebody
job.
good. Yeah,
somebody good to be host. I mean, you'd go the host, dude. I mean, we'd watch people headline at Caroline's, and there's comics that are hosting. They're better than the headliner. Oh yeah. I mean, it's the real deal. Like maybe people they're not famous.
Vic Henley was always
Vic Henley. Yeah. I mean, like they could be like, no one knows who this guy is, but you're like, he's a better comic than the guy you're coming to see. Yeah. The guy you're coming to see is just famous. Vic Henley goes up a warrior that's going up every single night. But you would get then that 75 for your on a weekend spot.
Sure.
So you'd run around, and I think if you could balance it out. I mean, you could probably make if you worked every weekend. That was the grind of New York was just so tough. But once you got past the clubs, I mean, what do you think? $2,000, $1,500, $1,000, $2,000 a week, like you could probably make. If you got a lot of spots,
maybe if you're like a Todd Barry type or something, like it really depended though. But but at least maybe 5 spots a night would be huge, but maybe
on
more
on the weekend.
Yeah,
you'd want 2 during the week, 2 maybe 3 during the week. Sunday to Thursday was good.
Yeah,
and then Saturday and Sunday you needed at least 5 a night.
Yeah, it could be like $75 spots.
Yeah,
so it's like
so you could like that's how you would really make your money because so you really had to go during the week. You like at least needed to do 2, and then the weekend was like at least you need to go do 5.
Yeah, but most of us would 10. Go to Connecticut or Pennsylvania. Or,
once you start doing, you did some road stuff.
But I think the road was before you were like a solid city comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Well, you go do these one night.
Yeah, we did some crazy ones.
Some
wild gigs.
Yeah.
So remember, we all did a gig together that I got through my brother's friend in Connecticut.
Yeah,
and I was so excited about it, and I'm like, I'm gonna get all our friends, especially Dustin. Yeah, us all up all the time, and I was so excited that I had this gig, and we show up after driving 2 hours, and they're like, yeah, we canceled it on you guys. Yeah. And I got to tell everybody because I was gonna pay everybody. I'm like, oh, this is exciting.
Was that supposed to be in a pizza place? It was like a town square kind of thing. It was
in Connecticut, and the guy was like, I don't even know where it was, but he was kind of like a tough guy.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we're not going to really question this. Like,
hilarious.
Just telling us to our faces.
No money. We just drove back home.
And we just got back in the car and drove another 2 hours.
Yeah, I think we hated you for like 3 weeks.
Yeah. That was the Nic gig.
Yeah.
That was definitely when someone goes, I got a Nic gig. We're like, I'd really dive into that before you drive all the way out there.
Yeah, I give you about 100 spots a week, but whatever it is.
Yeah. Get
Thanks,
up
bro.
all the time.
Thanks for looking out.
So I wanted to just say the levels of it. So all right, Barker was the very bottom level. So you're just handing out these flyers. You're getting your payment is stage time, which is it's just a beautiful thing. I
think there's a level before that. I was a busboy and a cook.
Yeah.
I did that in New York Comedy Club.
Yeah,
I had to bake hamburgers and French fries, and they had like real fryers and stuff in there, and I would get like 25 cents off the burgers and 10 cents off the fries, and then get 5 minutes on the checks.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Wow.
That's what I did. That's how you got paid.
And I thought that was amazing because Pete Cordielli gave me the job. Like he was
doing it.
He was on his way out, and he's like, "Hey, you want this?" I was like, "Yeah, this seems awesome."
Yeah.
So I was back there cooking, and like
it's the love of the game.
Yeah.
Dude. That's how much we love it. Is we don't care. I waited tables. Remember the time I had to wait tables?
Oh, did you did so much for me? Yeah.
Yeah. Like all that stuff. The servers didn't show up.
Yeah.
And so we got to do a show, and I'm like, well, I just waited tables in Chicago and in Nashville. Yeah. And so I was like, well, I know how to wait tables. And so I waited tables, and then I went on stage and did my 5 minutes, and then got off, and then finished. I mean, I literally was like, all right, good night. Thanks, everybody. Good night. And I got off and walked to each table right after I got off. I was like, a couple more beers. You use the popcorn. All right. And then I waited tables the rest of the night. And it was like, I didn't even, I offered that up.
That's awesome.
Like, it's funny. Like now you'd be embarrassed to do it just because you're older, obviously. But like, you think how crazy, but then you're like, I mean, I was like, I can wait tables. And I was like, and he's like, great.
You actually get paid tonight.
I get paid. Yeah. Actually make some money tonight. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. When we went to New York Comedy Club, I would check all the girls out because I knew how to. Close down the club.
Yeah. I mean, I got basically, I would run these comedy clubs because I knew who was funny.
Yeah.
Like I had a good eye for the guys that were the next whatever, So, but I couldn't manage it well. Math is not my strong suit.
Yeah.
And so he would kind of be my ghost where I would pretend I did the math. And like Nate would be like, I ran Applebee's or whatever. And then he would go
that's how
and he did the math for me.
That's how little
he had my back.
Is that just a guy that's like, I waited tables at Applebee's for a year, and you're like, this guy's like went to Yale for this. Like he knows what he's doing.
Way better than I knew nothing. So you have my back. You were like, it was so funny.
I knew how to
and I'd
check
pay you
everybody out. Yeah. I knew how to check. Like, you get the tips, and so they all get paid in cash.
Yeah.
So we got to write down, and the girls get, or the waiters all get like this money, and then you go and we would deposit the money. We deposited Al Martin, if you're listening to this, we deposited all the money.
Yeah.
We did it. We were
so I would
super
I would split my pay with you, and they give you an extra 5 minutes on stage.
Yeah. It was very nice. That was my move up.
You get like 12 minutes, and then, as opposed to 5.
Yeah,
so
which was
like,
big.
Yeah, so he was like, I'll do the math.
Yeah, it's like absolutely
all these backroom deals and stuff. So under the
all
table.
Comedy's all
crazy.
Yeah,
back then for sure.
So that's when Boston ended.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that's when Boston closed, when Nate started to do the math.
So when Nate controlled the books.
Yeah. So to finish off Boston, we were at Boston. We're there. We're doing that. I was a barker, and then your big move up. So it was work waiting the tables and stuff like that. It was like the first kind of thing you can do. So I came in as barking. So I was doing the barking, and barking, you just wanted to get to the point where you got to stand at the door. So it was
that's
like, all
the
right,
gig. That's the good gig.
Yeah. If I can get off, because we're out there, it's 30 degrees, 20 degrees.
And that's where you meet everybody.
Yeah, that's when you meet everybody.
Chappelle's walking through. Everybody has to walk through the door.
Yeah. And so you're like, how do I get off this corner? And I just want to get to, like you were never making big. That's why a huge part of my career, something that has helped me very much is I never had goals that were never unattainable. Because my goals were always just, I didn't want to be on the corner because I'm standing outside and it's freezing. How do I just get to the door? I just want to be able to stand in the door because you're at least get kind of out of the weather. And like you said, everybody has to come through you, and they ask you. Chappelle comes in and goes, "How's it going tonight?"
Yeah,
it's going great. You want to go on stage? You get a response. You're like, "I think he kind of knows me," and you're like all this kind of stuff. And so you loved it. So it was like the matter of just getting to that door. And then I think I ran Boston a couple of times because if you had a road gig, I was in enough at that point that I would
run it for me. You ran a lot of stuff for me,
because you would start. Yeah, you were starting to get some road work, so you go do the road, and so on a weekend or something, I would have to do it. My biggest fear was like, I was like so scared of what if Chappelle and Chris Rock walk in at the same time. I was like, what do I do? You had this crazy thing that I have to choose. Which now you just know you let them choose.
Yeah,
they figure it out.
Yeah.
But I'm just, I've been doing comedy. This point has to be, when did Boston end?
I don't remember.
Yeah, was it 05, 04, 05?
Probably 03, 04.
No, I was there in 04.
04. Must have been the end of 04.
Yeah, maybe the end of 04, maybe even a little 05.
It says 2005 on their Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so it was 2005. Yeah.
I should be on there.
Oh, that says us.
Are you on there? Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Starting point for such comedians as Sarah Silverman, Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
Schultz didn't
Nate
start
Bargatze.
there.
Nice.
Neil Brennan worked the door there.
Yeah.
Schultz didn't. He was a Village Lantern guy.
Bargatze,
he was a comedy.
Cats didn't know you guys. This is what makes me angry.
Yeah.
He gets all the credit.
Now he's taking the I took care of Nate. He's like, no, you didn't, dude.
Yeah.
I took care of Nate.
Cats didn't know me at all.
Barry Katz, he put that whole thing up.
I met Barry Katz in which Barry Katz was great.
He was. He let us do whatever we wanted.
He let us do whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
He
yelled a lot, but he was good. I had to deal with it.
You had to deal with Barry Katz.
Yeah.
You were the one that got all of us in. But he had a trust in you that he knew you knew what to do.
Yeah. Well, technically what happened was I was at the New York Comedy Club with Al for many years, Al Martin. And then some guy was skimming money at the Boston Comedy Club, so they needed a new guy. And then Al Martin, he asked Al Martin, who can I bring in, whatever, and then Al picked me, and that's how that worked. Yeah, some guy was skimming money, so that's how I got there.
Yeah, and then it would be because you ran it.
Yeah, I ran it. I did everything.
You might as well have owned it. I don't know if I even at that point even knew there was someone else.
Yeah,
I never even thought. So 2004.
Well, Barry opened it, and then
I may be 25
years
old and or 26, and I have no idea that this even. I'm not thinking about an owner of any. I can't even. I'm coming out of the subway and just hope I can find where the Boston is at. Like and then that's cool. I've never looked at that. But Barry Katz is a big manager. Barry Katz, I met him at Boston Comedy Club. Barry Katz was always very, very nice to me. Barry Katz was someone that you always wanted him to know you.
Yeah, that's why it was a big deal.
That was a big deal because you were like, he had Dane Cook, he had all these people, and he was manager, and so he was like, you just wanted him to. He's got a podcast too. I think it's a great podcast because he
really
talks
good. Yeah,
a lot of old New York, out of Boston, New York stories about a lot of the guys. Well, that he was Jay Moore. He was with forever.
Yeah, it was really funny because he would just show up and and not let us know and tell us when he was showing up, and because he was in L.A. and then he was just kind of sort of kept the Boston Comedy Club in New York, and then he would just show up like on a Monday, and it would be like 3 people, like, dude, just come on a weekend, man. We're crushing it. Like, don't come on a Monday.
Sold out shows. Yeah. Mondays were the worst.
Yeah, they don't come in February, like in New York. Like nobody's here.
The fact that we're open is unbelievable.
We got 6 people. Like, come on, that's huge.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's a show. We're having a show. Like, it was just so funny. I'd be like
6. I mean, we would do 6 people. 4. Remember, I performed for one guy.
One guy.
Remember that? What was that guy's name?
That was the Village Lantern.
No, that was he was
that guy arm wrestled or no? That was
no, the guy that had the really great laugh.
Oh, Bob, I think, or something.
Yeah. He had an amazing laugh.
The one guy had a great laugh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He always came.
He always came.
Always there. We never charged him.
Yeah.
We gave him his own seat. Like I always said, if I had a comedy club in New York, I was going to have a golden seat for Bob. Just have it right. Nobody could sit in it. Yeah,
he was a lifesaver.
Yeah.
And we let him do whatever he wants, and he'd come in by himself. And I mean, it would be 6 of us. He just a great laugh. It was like someone that just was rooting for all of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted us to make
loved comedy.
He loved comedy, and he loved just seeing it, this ground floor of like, these guys are just chasing their dreams, man.
Yeah.
And when I did a show for him once, I mean, I remember where we were like being like, Bob, I don't know if I want to do that. Like we knew him. So we're like, I'm on stage like, Bob, I don't know if we can do it. He's like, you can do it, man. He goes, it'll be great. And his laugh, he was so good at laughing that you could do it. Because you could be like, he would just have this great loud laugh. He laughed at the right parts. He was just
he was great.
Gem of a
I mean, if we learn anything from Zoom comedy shows, all you need is one laugh.
All you need is one laugh. Yeah. You needed him.
Yeah.
We needed him.
Yeah.
He was, I mean, just a the best dude.
Yeah.
And then Barry Katz, so he ran that. I don't know. So anyway, so that was like the idea with Boston. And then they had, a big thing was too that happened at Boston. I was there for that when Ted Alexandro and Russ Maneve, I think, started they kind of comics were going on strike.
Yeah,
for more money.
Get us more money. Yeah,
and that was that happened when I was there.
Yeah, I remember.
And so they had all the meetings with all the comics, so they would all come to Boston.
Yeah, it's the strike of 2000.
Yeah.
What was it?
I don't know. Strike of 2004. It had to be 4 or 5.
It was
like something like that. And so they did it.
I don't know.
Comedy. What's that? Comedians Union.
Comedian Union.
Yeah.
This is in 2004, December 20th.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it was.
Yeah. So I mean, you can see it. Yeah. So look.
So write up in the New York Times about this.
Yeah. So that's cool.
So they're so go there. So the weekday pay at that time, which was about $15 to $25 a set, as well as holiday pay for regulars, would make up to $200 for a weekend gig, as opposed to the current rate of $75 to $125. I thought it was less than that.
Well, it was 60 some places.
Yeah.
And like, I remember I went to the big meeting and it was just like, everybody was there, Colin Quinn, all these comedians. And I was kind of cranky about it because I felt like, some of these guys, they weren't even paid guys anyway. They were just kind of trying to attach themselves to this thing so they could like get friends with comics and whatever. I remember, and then I was kind of, I might've been a little hungover. I'm not going to, a lot of sugar that night. And, and I think I remember I walked in and they wanted me to speak. And I was like, hey, I looked at everybody. I was like, I'm sorry, your development deals didn't work out.
Yeah.
Like this is not where you're supposed to get paid. This is New York. It's supposed to be the Garden, not the, so it was like a whole thing. But Boston, we didn't have to pay because we didn't get the bar.
Yeah.
Because it was the bag it in.
Yeah.
They got all the drinks. So the whole thing was the comedy clubs that make money off the bar should pay more because they're getting,
Yeah, you weren't. Yeah. Did you pay? We didn't have to pay spots. Anybody? Or weekend?
Yeah, we paid. I paid.
The weekend.
I paid like 60, a spot. Well, not 75, which is everybody else paid, because we didn't get. All we got was the cover.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we let people in free.
Yeah. Just trying to get an audience.
Yeah.
And then we didn't. It's not a profit. Boston was not.
And there was no Comedy Hub back then or internet where people were buying tickets, and so
So they did. It was a good. They were Ted and them, they weren't going after Boston. They were going after the Cellar. They were going after all these places that were making real money, and these shows are sold out every night. I mean, they were like, "This is crazy. There needed to be a raise." And I remember not going to this meeting because I remember I was barking. Yeah. And I remember some other barkers or other people like my level. I mean, I'm doing comedy a year, 2 years, and they'd be like, "I'm gonna go." And I wish I would have went just to see it for the history of it.
Yeah.
But I just remember I was embarrassed to be like, I can't go in there. Like I'm gonna look. They're gonna be like, "Who are you?"
But that's also knowing your role, though.
I knew my role. Like, this ain't. Yeah. I wasn't deserved to get. I was like, I'm not in this argument. I don't know. I'm lucky I'm getting to go. I'm lucky I'm almost paying to go on. Like you're just at a point that you're like, I don't deserve this.
But I don't think this is always good because I think what happens is a lot of guys because I don't know. I think that the idea of not paying someone a lot of money in the city makes you work harder and aim higher. Yeah. Because a lot of guys sometimes, like you said, they stay in this, they become city comics forever, and they're amazing towns that should be kind of bigger names.
That leave and leave New York.
It's like, I don't know. I think it's important to do that. I don't LA is like, you might get $20 if you're lucky.
I don't even know if you get $20. Lucky. You might get zero. Maybe 20. 20 is like amazing. But they've started doing some shows now where they run in LA where they do these outdoor shows. Supernova.
Sure. You get paid good for that.
Out there. Those they pay great. Some of those they pay, it's where you go, that's too much. I don't want that.
Well, they pay you that.
Yeah.
Nick and I are getting chicken fingers.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said, though, about working your way up and doing some things for free and learning things at a certain point because you do kind of need to do a certain amount of free work and work your way up because it's like, when people are like, how do you get on TV? How do you get an agent? How do you get these things? You're like, well, you don't just get right to, and it's acting is the same thing. It's like,
that's why actors do theater.
You have to do theater. You have to take certain things where, didn't I just see you on TV and now you're doing this thing? And, you're like, there's a certain amount of that. And you also get stuff from people at your level more, it's like, right. Like we would be late at night when there was 4 people on a show, we would ride the subway back together at 4 a.m. And it's like, that's where you really bond with people. Yeah. And it's like, you have that lifelong friendship and camaraderie. You know, we're looking at Aaron. We're like, does that happen?
Playing poker in a parking lot. That's how you bond.
That's how you bond. Well, that's what this weekend was so special because we were all together and we all lived together.
That felt like we were all 20, man. That was amazing.
I mean, we just haven't felt that in forever. And so it's so nice to be to look at all of us and just
remember it. Remember all we were around each other a lot.
A lot. I mean, you're around each other every single day because I went with you to New York and then I went with you to Improv.
Yeah. And then you lived with me.
The Broadway Comedy Club. We lived together.
The 3 of us.
The 3 of us lived together. So, I mean, if it was, I would see y'all, even when I got married, I would see y'all probably more than my wife. Like, you're just around each other for hours and hours and hours. And, this was a great, the thing with it, I do agree. That's why I don't think we should have went. I agree with all that kind of stuff, but I do understand that they were just trying to move it up a little bit. And I get that. They were just, because the clubs were starting to make money.
I think each venue, it varies.
Yes. Each venue, it did vary. But I get it. The Comedy Cellar, some of the bigger clubs.
They have a restaurant. I think.
Yeah, they were selling out. And you're like, all right, dude, if y'all are making a bunch of more money, you do need to pay the guys more money. So it was the right for some of the places. And that's why I think they went to the Boston because that was the only safe place to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because the Boston was... Boston was like, we don't have any money. Like in every club, every comic knew what the Boston was meant.
It was very underground.
It was more of an underground kind of thing. It was more where you could pop in and everybody could get extra time. And so this was really kind of going after kind of the other comics. I mean, something he told me a long time ago that I think about all the time. Where I remember Ted would always tell me, 90% of your work will come from other comedians.
Oh, absolutely.
And he said that, and that's never been more true ever. I remember hearing that at first. I was like, how does that even make sense? And then you just look around and you're like, well, I'm getting work because of you. We thought we'd get work from you. We said about Nick. With Nick, they go about Nick gigs. We go 90% will not pan out. So it was the opposite. But it was like that's all your other comics would fill. I opened for Greg Giraldo once. That was because I remember Pat Dixon would open for Greg Giraldo, and they needed someone to drive out. I think I done just talk about this with. I don't know.
Talk about Pat. You mentioned Pat Dixon.
Pat's great.
With
He's got
Greg
a great
last week.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I mentioned this story, but like, so going out, so I got to open for Greg once, and I get to sit in this big theater and watch him. And he rode in the car with us. He sat in the back. It was just asking him all these comedy questions. It was this magical thing. Greg Drawder was my guy that I got to sit. I would remember at the Cellar, I would get paid to just sit there in case he didn't show up, because Greg obviously had a lot of demons he was fighting, and so it'd come back and forth where sometimes he would be cool, sometimes he's not, sometimes he'd kind of be off the rails, and he wouldn't show up. So I would get to go sit at the Cellar and just be like, is Greg going to show up or not? And
yeah, here's the weirdest thing. Greg was my first sponsor. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Nothing contradicts itself, but he was great.
In AA.
He helped me out. Yeah,
like
in AA.
And so he was, and he was,
he'd call me, make sure I was okay. And then unfortunately he kind of, but
he got off the path and you went back off with him, and then now you're back. Yeah. There's a look. We always talk about a lot of comics as they get older. Everybody kind of stops drinking, kind of gets off that kind of stuff. I've talked about it on this podcast, which helps a lot of people at home do it. You're just around alcohol too much. It's just your world is too much of this.
The audience sends you free drinks.
The audience, you're on stage. They want to buy. It's a show. It's too much, and you realize like I'm not going to get anywhere if I keep this up. Yeah. And you kind of knew that. And at the beginning, you would go back and forth. I mean, when you first moved there, you're having a good time. It's fun. It's your college years, and you're like, this is amazing. You're with Dave Attell.
Yeah.
Like I mess with when he hasn't drank now forever.
Yeah. He was hilarious. He would because that was the thing too, is we'd all want to drink with Dave. Yeah. And a lot of times, like, he would go into a bar, he would buy us all shots and then just leave. And we would like do the shots and be like, we're here because we want to hang out with Dave Attell. Yeah. And then like, he's just gone. He would just like Irish goodbye everything.
But they would have, crazy nights with Dave. He hasn't drank in a long time, but I used to do these camp shows in New York for kids.
I did those. Yeah.
And there was one that was 4 p.m. This is what I was like 20. And I missed that like 4 p.m. It was like that late and crazy of a night.
The 4 p.m. show.
They're like, where is he? I wake up. I was like,
well, how early y'all doing these things? That 4 p.m. Yeah, I remember doing those camp shows. Stand Up New York did a lot of those.
Yeah.
You go perform for kids.
I love those.
They were great because it was always so great because you're like, you felt like you worked. And you're like, you
got money.
Yeah. I mean, I'd do some at noon.
Yeah.
And you'd be done at 1. And you're like, I already did a spot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so fun to tell your friends, you're like, what are you doing today? Like, I just woke up. You're like, I've already did a spot today. Like, I have 1 spot already in. Because it was always, you wanted to be like, I got, how many spots you get last night? That was everything. Once you start getting into spots and you're not at ball, like, you kind of just go run around doing more shows. Because that's the kind of leads to is like, stat, you kind of run the shows. And then you kind of end up going like, now you're trying to get past at all the clubs.
Yeah.
And so then you're like, how many spots you do? Like I did 5. You're like, like you did, like you got a lot in.
I remember I did a camp show and I was at Gotham Comedy Club, and the owner of the comedy club I had a beer on stage in front of because I don't, I'm not thinking it through.
Yeah. That's the definition of comedians is we don't think it through.
Yeah. And he just walked up as I'm on stage telling jokes and just grabs it out of my hand and then just takes it and then just walks off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, and then I'm just like, hey, and just trying to do jokes.
Yeah,
so funny.
Grab it at noon. He just grabs it off the stage.
He didn't even it didn't disrupt me. He was real gentle about it.
Probably doesn't even talk to you about it. Like he knows. He probably tells the place when he books them, hey, just a heads up. But the people that are going to do these shows, they're not normal people. Yeah. Like they don't think about stuff. They'll be professional
camp shows,
but stuff's going to slip in. I mean, the opposite of that was prom shows.
Where
you go, the show would be at 2, 3 in the morning,
and you had to wait there all night.
You'd have to wait there all night.
Because you never knew when they were coming, too.
Yeah. So we just all be there.
You wanted prom shows; they paid more.
Yeah, it was like that was like the big deal because it's like especially for younger comics because they always wanted somebody a little younger.
Yeah.
So that's the advantage we had over the older guys.
And the older guys too were not going to do it. Like, dude, there's a point you got where you were like, I'm not going up at 3 a.m.
I was like that older guy that kept doing it because I'm that guy that shows up like, hey, kids,
Yeah. Well, it was good money. And then once you get to do it, you're like, oh, so you start, I mean, during prom season, you're able to go to Caroline's. Like, I mean, you get
$50 usually.
Yeah.
If you were lucky. It was a good
That was like a good. Yeah, I didn't think you. I thought you got 100 or something.
Maybe. Well,
I think it was like 100. I think it was like something so crazy that you're like, dude, if I do these, that's like an extra 100 a night.
Caroline's might have been that.
Yeah.
But like some of the Dangerfields and stuff.
Caroline's, I think, might have even paid more than it might have been a couple hundred or 300.
Really?
I just remember it was something kind of crazy that you were like, you're like, yeah, dude, I can't believe I'm getting to do this. And then the other guys that were starting to do the road stuff were like, oh, I don't need that. And I know it's not fun to be up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I remember Vecchione doing one night. And I mean, these kids would come in and, obviously no alcohol, but they show up. I mean, they somehow are finding it. Yeah. And I mean, remember we did a show and we're on stage. We just do the show. Mike Vecchione, this girl gets alcohol poison or something. Called the ambulance. Paramedics come put her on a thing, roll her out. And we're still kind doing the show.
He's just on stage while
there's no like stop. I mean, you got to these kids are kind of in a lock-in kind of thing. Yeah. So they can't just be like, all right, everybody, show's over. We can't make them leave. Mm-hmm. So they just we're still up there. Remember, maybe we kind of, everybody's talking. We maybe got a host up there. And then they're just like, excuse me. They just wheel this girl out on a stretcher. And then he's like, Mike Vecchione, everybody. And Mike Vecchione comes out and just has to be like, yo, what's up, everybody? And the kids are just kind of back in the show. And you're like, yeah, one of your classmates might be dead, but we can't send you home. The show's got to go on. So and funny. Yeah, it was such a crazy, crazy time.
We did prom boats in New York. I don't know if you did those.
I never did a boat. I knew they would do those.
There's nothing worse than bombing in front of a bunch of kids and you can't leave.
Yeah.
You're just like stuck and they're everywhere coming at you. Yeah. Oh man, you ain't funny. And you're just like, you just want to jump off.
Yeah. You just trapped on the boat.
Well, also the kids shows were great because they would be like, they were excited about it usually. Prom, sometimes they were like, they would rather be out
kids have
drinking
attitude.
They want to hook up. So they're like prom in there kids, trying to hook up and looking at her that awkward, tension between dates.
Yeah.
And you're up there like, oh, let me tell you about my girlfriend. And they're like, ugh.
Well, it was either that or it was junior prom where they're like 15.
Yeah.
So that's the most awkward group of people you're going to perform in front of. Those 15-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Just they have no idea what to do with the
this
girls.
Is the stuff that makes it all great, Yeah. You know what's funny? I was just reminded me of Barry Katz. If you want to see him, if you watch Comedian,
that's where I know him from, basically.
Which it's about Seinfeld, and I think I've talked about it here. If you haven't watched it, Comedian it's
on Netflix now.
It's on Netflix now. It's perfect.
It's one of the best comedian documentaries.
Yeah, it's what I watched and said I got to go to New York and move to New York right after I watched. I moved to New York a couple months after I saw it. I saw it in a movie theater.
Some great scenes,
and then. That's kind of, you can get a feel for what we were kind of going through. A little bit. You've seen it through Seinfeld eyes, obviously, but you see Orny Adams, who's very funny and
that's actually a different experience, the Orny situation, because I felt like he kind of got gifted something really cool. And then it was like, what do you do when you have it?
Yeah.
Do you exploit it? Do you crush it? So that's what's really interesting about it, because a lot of us warn-handed that situation, and so I think it was like it was an experiment. It was an experiment, I think, for the documentary to see what happens if you give a guy,
Well, they wanted to show to someone like Seinfeld that when they walk in, he gets an applause, and then they want to show, well, here's what the other comedians have to go through. They don't get the applause. They don't get the I think there's one scene where Orny goes up to Jerry and he's like, "Oh yeah, of course Jerry's here." Well, that's how they get him at first, because you see Orny get bumped by Seinfeld.
Well, that's where a bump conversation. Yeah,
that's the bump conversation.
Yeah,
and Orny's a great guy. Like if you watch this thing, I know Orny now. Orny's an amazing comedian. Very, very funny. Just destroys, and is a great dude. But he's kind of the guy that you see in that kind of thing. He's just kind of that dude.
He'll kind of roll his eyes at a famous. Like he's not impressed. He just wants to go up.
Yes.
Because I think the thing is he wanted to get a tape or something. Yeah. So he was like, every club, here we go.
Yeah, he's trying to get in Montreal Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
And then he talks about doing the shows outside.
Yeah.
It's my favorite stand-up documentary.
It's cool.
It's mainly because I'm a big Seinfeld fan. But in that, you see Barry Katz talk to Orny Adams. One of my favorite lines is very funny. Orny Adams, because you've all been dumb and say something like this where you go like, you talk about Steve Wright, he goes, yeah, what's Stephen Wright even doing? And Barry Katz goes, he won an Oscar. And he goes, oh, that's cool.
Because what he says is, where's Stephen Wright now?
Yeah, where's Stephen Wright now?
And then in the DVD, they have a section on it called "Where's Orny Now?"
Yeah, yeah.
And they got him in a Volkswagen doing a road gig. It's just really fun.
Yeah, Orny, but I get it, dude. We've all been very frustrated, and you say something.
No, I love Orny.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
I just
say something very dumb where you're like, yeah, what's Rodney Dangerfield? You know, like at the time, Rodney Dangerfield was a lot.
Yeah.
You're like, you know, that's when you say something good. Yeah, where's Larry the Cable Guy? How good's he doing? You're like, he's a multi-millionaire and he sells out arenas. He's doing pretty good.
You know what it is? It's like sports, you know, like you feel like you got to like you take down the legends and like be as good and whatever. So you get that cockiness where you're like, okay, I got this.
And to get and then you
get out of my way. Get out of my way.
Put back in your place immediately always.
Did you ever see that clip? There's a clip that went viral of MSNBC years ago, and the moderator is arguing with the guest, and finally the moderator goes, do you have a degree in economics? And the guy goes, yeah, highest honors.
Yeah.
She was like, okay, all right.
That's great. Yeah. You always get kind of shoved into that spot. So yeah, comedians on Netflix with Seinfeld. All Seinfeld's going to Netflix too, by the way.
Yeah.
And so still haven't met Seinfeld. That's my one.
You haven't?
No.
Yeah,
I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like start to like ask around. Like I'm trying to be like, hey, can I open for it? Like I just want to go with him. Like,
sure. Well, that's the thing in comedian. You know, when he's brought up and those girls kind of heckle him when they're talking about his notes, I bring him up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm bringing him up in that. It's at Gotham, and that was the weirdest thing because it was also one of those moments where he was the kind of guy, I think we talked about with Chappelle and stuff. Like, I'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Seinfeld. Everybody would be like, yeah, okay. Yeah. You know, like, like the audience just wouldn't believe you. They'd be like, oh, okay, like it's some joke or something. Then he would come in and everybody would just go bananas.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I brought him up that. And they, of course, you know.
That girl, was she from another country?
She was from Ireland, I think.
Yeah. I remember
and
that.
then she was in the documentary, she kind of heckling because he's looking at notes. And so she said something like, you don't remember your act?
You don't remember your act?
Yeah, it's something like
he goes, this is your first show.
Yeah, first show. Yeah.
Is this your first show? And then, he's like.
Yeah, so I was there for all that.
Oh, wow. That you bring.
Yeah, I was in the room.
I knew that. And I
was in the room. I saw the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
And you seen it being filmed. Was everybody upset at Orny at that time? Like in an honest thing, was everybody like, man?
Oh yeah. Bill Burr was like, what's up with this? Yeah. He was like, what's up with that? Like a lot of us, because we were,
everybody.
You know. But like I said, it was like, you know, they just chose one guy, and I think his attitude about it
and Orny was
made it interesting.
Was he in? It made it.
Because everybody else would just be like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." Where Orny, you needed somebody to kind of be like, whatever.
But he had that, like it was almost like a reality show. You need somebody to be the villain, or like not always say what you want.
He was perfect. He made it perfect.
He made it perfect.
Without him, it's not as good.
Yeah.
You
pick any other comic, you would have been like, they would have felt boring.
Yeah, we'd just been like, thank you.
Orny, you had emotions about Orny, and like,
sure,
at times you could think you don't like him, and then you're like, no, I do like him, and then you go back and forth like when you're watching it for the first time, and it's interesting to think.
I'd like to see it again. It's been a long time.
Oh yeah, I need to watch it again too. I've watched it again not too long ago, but it's and go listen to the commentary too. It's great. When Colin Quinn,
him and Colin Quinn,
it's so funny.
Talk about Barry and everything.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Cut his hair. Cut your hair,
man. And, so it's like, go watch it and then go listen to them talk about it.
Oh, that's way funnier.
It's so funny. But go watch it first if you haven't seen it, and then go back and listen. But it's with Orny, I'd imagine like everybody was pretty, because at that point you're like, everybody's trying to get something, and you're like, why does this dude get it?
Yeah,
I've had so many comics
jealousy.
where you're like, why? So he gets whatever he wants, I guess. He gets whatever he's doing spots like that. You would get so mad.
Yeah.
And then, it's funny to think Burr, if he was like, everybody would have been a little bit like, why does he get to be the one shows it? And you look and like Burr is now the biggest comic working. But
you don't know that. You know how this is. You have no idea where it's
where anything's going.
You have goals, you have ambitions, but you don't know.
Everything is the biggest thing ever. So when you don't get something, you think, well, that's the worst thing that's ever going to happen to me, and I'm never going to make it. And like, this is so hard.
Devastating.
It's so devastating. It's all these things that you're like, you don't even remember, and then you're like, but I would have been upset about that at that point.
Yeah, well, I was just like, cleaning the club and running shows stuff. So it's like, it was that kind of energy where it's just like, you're just like, this guy's not paying enough dues to get this. And,
you're like, look at all the dues I'm paying. Yeah, and you have that.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's not about you. It's not about you.
Was Orny a guy, and he was past all the clubs at that point?
Kind of, yeah. He was kind of up and coming, but he was
in
working
the system, playing all the clubs. he was kind of past that point.
And he was a killer. He's a guy that he was very animated. He was like kind of just like the stool and everything.
But the systems changed too because of social media and other things.
Yeah,
now people could just be famous and you don't have to
do it. Yeah. All right. This was a long one. 2 hours 18.
It's pretty good. It's like a Chappelle set at the Boston.
Yeah. We come in and do a lot of time. It's this one was a fun one. I mean, this was it was great because we have y'all.
Yeah.
And just to go back and you forget, we all remember different things. Stuff sticks out to us, so it's nice to be able to go talk back with us and just be like, oh yeah, I remember. You remember this and that, and remember, one of the worst bombings I had was at Boston.
Oh yeah,
I remember that. I remember I had to go walk around afterwards. I had a green button-down shirt, and I had it tucked in, and I never wore that shirt again on stage. I thought it was the shirt.
Oh,
everybody was murdering.
I've gotten rid of a lot of clothes because of that. It's funny how comics are superstitious. I got hats I just threw away. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not wearing that again.
That's the reason. It's not our material.
No, it has nothing to do with my hacky.
These people, I'm a great comedian. I'm doing comedy for
taking your shirt off.
You know how great of a comedian I am? They just don't get it. It's look at you, shirt. It's your fault.
That's probably what happened to Chrysler. That's how it started. He just had a set. Bert, he's like, I'm not. Oh, Bert.
You ain't gonna get to me. It's like I'll take my shirt off. How about that? I remember that night. I remember is Boston. I remember I did it, and I think it was so bad that like we had another show that we have to bark for because it was on the weekend, and you let me you were like, hey man, just go walk around. Like it was like one of the, like you knew enough to go like it was my first. Obviously at the beginning you don't do good at the beginning, but it doesn't really matter because you don't know what good feels like.
Yeah.
At that point, I've started to do good.
Yeah.
And so this is the first time I kind of had. Well, everybody was destroying, and you think you're better than everybody. You're like, well, if they're doing good, I mean, I'm going to murder. It's the first time you have that thought, and you allow yourself to have that thought, and then you go up there, and it was silent. And I mean, I was sick to my stomach, and I walked out and like had to walk away and walk. I
remember that night. Yeah.
Yeah. I like had to sit. I think I went to some wine bar. I don't know what a wine bar is. I like walk in there and just like sitting alone, and you're just thinking about you're just like I don't know what's happening. And it was. I went back and did a show later. You just learn because
you had a better set. Yeah.
You had a better set later, and then you're like, okay, this is just it.
You got to shake it off. Every boxer gets knocked down.
Yeah,
just get back up.
Got to get back up, man. It's tough. It's a gut punch. It's a gut punch. It's tough. It's tough.
But that's the beauty of it, you know, and it makes you better because you reflect. You're like, what did I do in that set that made that happen?
Out of all the bombs, that's the only one.
Besides
I really
the shirt,
remember.
besides the shirt, what else did I?
Shirt was a huge mistake. I didn't wear it on the second show. Luckily, back then I would wear two shirts. So
that's why.
That was why. So,
two shorts, two shorts,
two shirts.
Cumberland Farms.
Cumberland Lands or something. Yeah, Cumberland Survey or something like that. I had some Goodwill shirt. Yeah, well, luckily that's why I wore two. I was always prepared.
It's your bombing shirt.
Yeah, it's my bombing shirt.
Got
that one out of the way.
Here we go.
Boom. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. This was such a great episode with being able to catch up with you guys. Obviously, also, with Brian. Keep Brian, keep just prayers for him, his family, his wife's family. We don't know everything that's going on, but just we're talking about. We'll tell you guys. But think about him. Aaron, you got also Bates. Where's Bates? Bates has been out with Leanne Morgan.
He's doing a bunch of shows with Leanne. He's all over. So check both of us out on social media. We're out there on the road. We love seeing podcast fans come out to see us. Saw one last night in St. Louis. They came out. It's great.
It's great when they come out.
Yeah.
We will be we're going to DC this weekend. So this comes out Wednesday. So we're going to Norfolk, Virginia first, and then DC. Norfolk is Thursday. I don't know where I'm at.
You doing the Lyric in DC? Is it
no
Constitutional?
DAR.
The Constitutional?
Yeah, DAR.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
And then so I'm in where is I going?
Virginia, DC, and then Hershey.
Yeah, but we're leaving Wednesday. I thought so it's Thursday. Look at the schedule. I'm very confused.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I know, but because two shows are in 3 shows in Hershey. All right. So I'm right. Chrysler Hall, Norfolk, Virginia. The Dar Constitution Hall in D.C. Hershey, Pennsylvania. First show is sold out. Second show is close. And then there's a third show that we added on that on Sunday, on the 26th. So you can go to that. So the first 2 shows are about to be, first one's gone, second one's about to be gone. And then that third show, go get tickets for that if you can do that. And then I'll be back doing another night in D.C. the next week of the 30th.
You are doing the Lyric in Baltimore. Though.
I am. 2 shows there. Yeah. And then, so go to my website. You'll see all the stuff. We're out. We're running around. Everybody listens to this podcast. You guys come to these shows. Whether a lot of you yell, "Let's go, folks." It means the world. Truly, we, as always, we'll never not appreciate you guys. None of us are owed any of this. Mm-hmm. As we told you the stories, we don't think we're owed anything. And so we're lucky to even be here. And we will never take that for granted. Thanks for sticking to the ads. We did 4 ads this time. We're keeping it. I mean, I think 4 will always be the most. I don't want to go too much on you guys. But it means a lot. It's how Aaron eats. So, and he only eats.
So we're going to need to keep adding ads.
Yeah. Yes, we got to. Well, we won't do more than 4. Okay. I like 4. I think 4 is, it's like they get it. We and look, I'm only giving you stuff that I actually use. Right. I'm not just trying to throw anything on there. And then we got to support your feeding window.
Yeah, I like how we're like.
Oh God, Nick's still here. I thought Nick left.
I like how you're like, he lost 100 pounds, and you're like, well, these ads are how he eats, and then
it's very lean food. Very
lean food. Yeah. Aaron's done the best out of all of us. I mean, he's getting
good, man.
Thank you.
By the way, my earlier fat compartment joke. Just so people heads up, I might be able to do that on stage. So if you hear that on stage,
what joke?
Say my fat is now just
that was great.
It fits in the cabinet.
Definitely use that.
It's still there. Yeah, that's pretty
or
good.
Nick will. You know what I mean?
Yeah, someone will use it. I try not to. If you come to my hour, I think I'm only. You could correct me, but I think I'm only doing 3 things that I've something. Some of them are just they're now full jokes, and so if on the podcast you would have just heard me talk about it. I've now made them jokes. So it's not like I'm not just
never fleshed out the bit on here. You just get the premises.
But I think it's only 3. I want to say it's maybe 3 things, maybe 4, but I think 3 that I can think of, which is pretty good for an hour. So I'm not. If you come see the show, it's all stuff you never heard. But you'll probably be hearing this little fat. But the fat thing is just be a quick little add-on. I'll write that down. Because that's a joke that you're like, I could work. That could work.
You got it.
So let's see. So you're going to see it. So if you come to this weekend, I'll do it in Norfolk if I remember. If I don't, but I think I'll do it in Norfolk. So the Norfolk show. Let's see how it goes. We can all see how be
it's like a behind the scenes, like comedian.
Well, behind the scenes. Yeah, it's like this is like our own comedian. So thank you all that all came out again. DustinChafin.com.
Yes.
Yeah. Your website, you've been doing shows.
You can check me out. I have a show called Dustin's Vinyl on Twitch. It's a podcast as well. I go to record stores and we talk about vinyl records and stuff. It's very cool.
Big into vinyl records. Yeah. Does show. Live in LA, do spots there.
Yes.
Nick?
Yes. You can follow me at Nic Novicki. I'm very excited to do shows with you this weekend.
Yep.
And also check out, again, disabilityfilmchallenge.com.
It's an awesome
check
thing.
out all the films, support people with disabilities, making films in front of and behind the camera.
Yeah, making amazing films. Yeah, the least group that's used, right?
Yeah.
This
people with disabilities, 25% of the population. Even if you spell disability wrong, still 25% of the population.
Yeah. Well, that's a disability.
That's a disability.
Yeah, exactly. But yet we're in less than 3% of film and TV shows. 95% of those actors are non-disabled actors playing people with disabilities. So the Film Challenge helps people with disabilities by making their own films, telling their own stories.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
It's awesome, man.
It's a cool thing. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. We love you. Shout out to Breakfast, and we will see you next week. All right. Goodbye. Let's go, folks.